Welcome, everybody. And good morning to everybody out there to another edition of the BDA Morning Show, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's your good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad. That's right, sure I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one. Fellas, in this episode, we get a fantastic one for everybody. We get another edition of this morning show, like I said, and we got a lot to talk about. We got some interesting fights tomorrow. We got an interesting little fight today from Germany, I believe. And so a lot of things going out there in the boxing world. The Zuffa TKO, more developments going on with that. So we're going to be focusing on all of that plus more. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so via the Super Chat feature. It's always better to join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. But the most important thing is you continue to like, you subscribe, you spread that BDA gospel. That's right. I chose another song there for at random. The second one of the intro. And this is like some Rolling Stones type of music, isn't it? Turn it up. Yeah, no, I don't know where I get that one from. Anyway, listen. I love the Rolling Stones, by the way. But maybe they should call it a career, right? And there's a couple of people out there that should call it a career in boxing. We're going to talk about all of that, plus more. It's a big shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Sid Boxing, Miso Dionysian, Langsbury, Buddy Love, Pancho Villa, Big Punch, John Locke is God. Some of the Sid Boxing. Oh, by the way, shout out to Al Cuerpo, who is a member of this channel now. Shout out to him, one of the initiated. Earl Stevens as well in there. Shout out to Earl. Shout out to Earl. We got Steph K's Analyst Corner. That's official scorecard boxing. Shout out to him. WBQ, Phantom, T-Sector, Jaime Raiden. Many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Woo! And a good morning. It's kind of overcast today here in Montreal, Canada, Quebec, Canada. And there's a lot of things going on in the boxing world right now. As I said, we got Keyshawn Davis taking on Nahir Albright tomorrow, a rematch of their 2024 bout that ended in a no contest because, well, Keyshawn Davis was found to have particles, I believe, of the devil's herb, the devil's weed, in his bloodstream. And so that fight was called a no contest. But, I mean, initially he had won it by unanimous decision, but it had been a competitive fight in which he failed to look good. Now he's coming off a win over Jermaine Ortiz, who's not easy to look good against, and he managed to stop him, becoming the first man to stop him. And so you figure to see, or you wonder if he's learned anything from that. Is he gonna be able to put it together and stop the what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not gonna call him awkward because it's not exactly awkward. He's kind of well schooled, Nahir Albright. He can do it all. He's a solid pro at this point. He can box. He can fight on the inside. He can crack a little bit. He just had a draw against Frank Martin. Now I know some people could say, Frank Martin. Who's Frank Martin? Well, I mean, I got to tell you, for a while there, he was in the top 5 of the lightweight division. He's definitely more physically talented.
Frank Martin? Guys, we have to stop playing. If you knock out Frank Martin, if you can beat him, you deserve to be on the top pound.
We got Sobers coming in here. You know, the best one that you done with that was the initial one, the original one. We said, guys, we need to stop playing. Like the reason why I laugh at that is because there's YouTubers who have said that. I mean, the social media people. Hold on, where's the? I got the original here, I believe. Hold on a second. Like I said, don't forget to hit the like. Oh, Team Batman Boxing. Shout out to Team Batman Boxing also in the house. BDA boxing stuff. I know I have it here somewhere. Anyway, we'll talk about that later if I can find it. Oh no, here it is. Yeah.
I know people think I'm exaggerating, whatever the fuck, but bro, whenever Shakur Stevenson beat Zepeda, right? He barely beat him. Oh my God, he's on a different level. We're never doubting him again. He should be at the top of the pound for pound list. This nigga didn't even do anything in that fight. When he beat what was the other motherfucker's name? When Gervonta Davis knocked out Frank Martin, guys, we need to stop playing. He's top 5 pound for pound. So,
do you recall who said that? Guys, we need to stop. Is that on Twitter or is that?
It must have been Max Kellerman or one of the you know what I'm saying, one of the usual talking heads.
Right. And you know what? Max Kellerman, we didn't even talk about it because I think it was too late by the time we done the show. We haven't done a show since Monday, but Max Kellerman got in a bit of hot water these last couple of days because he claimed that Dubois versus Wardley wasn't entertaining. Now, I think he gave a full explanation of what he meant, and I can't fully disagree with him because I actually agree with him. I thought the fight was entertaining, but I don't think it was fight of the year as some people are claiming. I was just listening to the 3 knockdown rule, and Dan Rayfield is like, right now, this is my fight of the year. This is my fight of the year. You know, his voice is kind of going. He's trying to talk. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I wouldn't say it's fight of the year so far even. I think Dalton Smith versus Matias was a little bit better than that. And there was another one that I keep forgetting that was actually considered the fight of the year. But anyway, the point is, it was an entertaining fight, but I don't think it was the greatest fight ever, as some of the UK people were saying as well. So I think that's what Kellerman was saying. However, other people point out the hypocrisy of the fact that whenever there's a Zuffa fight that's mildly entertaining, he starts losing his shit. It's like, guys, this is what we see here on Zuffa Boxing. And it's like, you find that entertaining, but you downplay Wardley versus Dubois. That's what people were saying. Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, you might have enjoyed that if you like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, just barroom brawls, high action, no skill kind of fights. I mean, if you like that, that's you, casual.
Man, I found some old clips of him on the ESPN Friday Night Fights from 1999. This dude has always been on some weird stuff, man. Let me tell you. Pernell Whitaker, no one's beaten him yet. You could make the argument no one's beaten him yet. Zab Judah is Pernell Whitaker with powers. My goodness, almost 30 years he's been at this BS, man. Feeding people this BS. I've had it with him. Somebody said, man, it's weird seeing Max Kellerman falling off. He used to be one of the sharpest analysts. And I go, when was that, by the way? I must have missed it when he was the sharpest analyst in boxing. He's the only thing that I've ever sort of said, oh, yeah, that's interesting, or that I copied from him was when he keeps saying, who would you rather be at the end of the round? I say, okay, that's a good way of framing, who won a round. That's about it. Other than that, he's always trying to reference some sort of historical event to the fight he's watching.
Well, don't forget, about the story of the fight.
Oh, my goodness.
That's one of his coined terms, right?
That was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. Golovkin and Canelo are going at it. It's tit for tat. Actually, Golovkin's landing a lot of jabs, and these guys are like, well, Golovkin's landing more shots, but he's not winning the story of the fight. We were all those podcasts are still up because we covered that fight, and we were aghast, perplexed, and horrified at what the hell he was talking about. It was disgusting.
Well, he's letting you know it's a story, right? So he's letting you know he's painting a narrative.
Exactly. There you go. That's a good. Yeah, that's absolutely correct, right there. You're absolutely right. But anyway, back to the matter at hand here. Keyshawn Davis versus Nahir Albright taking place tomorrow.
His name is Wu. Call him Wu, idiot.
Wu, yeah, that's right. He said he's more Wu than Tank Davis. And that's essentially the theme of the first subject at hand here, which is Keyshawn Davis. Which Keyshawn Davis are we going to see? Because this dude has low impulse control. We've seen that before. We saw that last year when he imploded. Right now, apparently, he's struggling to sell tickets over in his hometown of Norfolk, Virginia. And a lot of people posit that it's because he ended up ruining his career by what he did last year. Now, he sort of made up for it this year by beating Jermaine Ortiz. And that's really, he needs to understand that that's all he can do. Forget about trying to be the nice guy and giving out turkeys on Thanksgiving this coming November or whatever. The way he's going to win back fans, especially his hometown fans, is by winning in the ring. Keep putting on entertaining performances. And people are going to forget about it because, I don't know much about Norfolk, Virginia or whatever, but I suspect they got nothing going on over there right now. That's maybe I'm wrong, right? Because like I said, I don't know anything about it, but I would suspect that.
How dare you?
I would suspect that if he keeps winning, they like Pernell Whitaker, and he was pretty much, every fight looked the same with him, but they liked him. So Keyshawn Davis, if he can keep entertaining people, hey, he might be hot stuff over there in Norfolk, Virginia. I don't know. And by the way, people say, you're putting down Norfolk. It's the same thing here in Montreal. They got the Canadiens de Montréal. I think they're still in the playoffs. I don't know if they've been eliminated yet. And every time they get into the playoffs, it's a big party. So the bar is set low, is what I'm saying. So nothing wrong with that. Well, there is something wrong with that. But what I'm saying is Keyshawn Davis can make it better. Keyshawn Davis can make it better. So he's taking on Ahir Albright, who's 17-2-1 with 7 knockouts. Like I said, he gave Frank Martin hell when he shouldn't have. And again, some people can say, well, okay, Frank Martin, who is that? But, well, Frank Martin is more physically talented than Ahir Albright. And Ahir Albright wasn't supposed to be as competitive as he was. So, and I actually think down the stretch, if it would have been a 12-rounder, because I think it was a 10-rounder, I think Ahir Albright could have ended up this fight stronger, or maybe even pulled out a win. You never know. But was it a 10-rounder or a 12-rounder? Now I'm forgetting.
Between who?
Albright and Frank Martin.
Frank Martin, I think it was 10 rounds, and it was a draw at the end. But I do remember the year Albright hurting Frank Martin, had him, wobbled, holding on for dear life.
There you go. Thank you for clarifying that. Now, one thing I wanted to point out is that, what's his name? Keyshawn Davis. He's a big dude. He's a big dude. He was face-to-face against De Los Santos during their ill-fated and the never-happened 2025 meeting. And he looked bigger than De Los Santos. And De Los Santos is a fairly sized lightweight. So for Keyshawn Davis, I'm trying to look for the video here because I just remember I had it. But for him to look as big as... Oh, yeah, here it is. Hold on a sec. Yeah, for less people think that I'm exaggerating and I'm lying and I'm this, that, or the other. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. And you guys can make your own determination of the facts as they are. Look at that.
Right.
Look at
Because
that.
as wacky as some of the things we may say, we don't be bullshitting around here.
That's right. Never. Look at that. Let me zoom in on that. Just in case more people are a little doubtful. Not fun. Look at that. Now, is he wearing thick soles on his shoes? I don't know. Look at De Los Santos. He's wearing sneakers. Those usually have thick soles. So unless Keyshawn Davis is wearing those Robert De Niro in the Irishman tilts or whatever they call him.
Yeah. That's interesting because De Los Santos looked around the same, was one of the guys that were around the same height as Shakur Stevenson when they got in the ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
To see Keyshawn Davis looking down at him like that, he must be pretty big because we all know that Stevenson has a hard time fighting opponents in size.
And then
35 and stuff like that.
And then the fact that one of his own people, Bernie the boxer, who people claim is the guy that gets the donuts over at the gym and the coffee and all that, he said Keyshawn Davis didn't even try to make weight. So it makes you wonder what was going on. Was he on top of already looking big, did he want to come in bigger for De Los Santos? And why is that? Maybe his friend Shakur Stevenson told him how dangerous De Los Santos was, how difficult it was to hit him.
De Los Santos, man, he hit hard, man.
I beat that guy with one hand. I don't people don't understand how impressive it is to beat that with a broken hand. It's like, come on, man. That was a saving grace of his performance that he beat him with one hand. But that's what we got with Keyshawn Davis. And by the way, apparently the guy's having a difficult time making weight, even at 140.
Again?
Well, that's what he's saying. Check this out, and you tell me what's going on here, because I certainly don't know. Hold on. He posted this on Instagram saying, "Making weight be the hardest part," and he posted a.
Is he in shit water? What is that?
Well, that's what people were asking. People were asking that. Some people were saying that that's chicken broth, because it goes into the pores and it makes you stink on fight night. Some people were saying it's bacon grease, so he can be slippery. Now, but what it really is, I think it's Epsom salts or Epsom. How do they call it? Epsom. I've never used them, so I don't know if it turns the water brown, but that's what I would assume.
I don't know about that. No, I think that's shit water.
You think he shit in the bathtub to make weight? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I think that might actually be the most logical and plausible scenario so far that I've heard. I think you're right. I think that's shitty. I think he just squirted a diarrhea bomb right in the bathtub to make weight, and I think he's fine with it. Listen, the guy used to be in the home. Remember that? He used to be in an insane asylum or something. What do you think goes on in there? Do you think that's all quality?
I've been around these kind of people, PDA. When they get mad, they start slinging their shit at people.
Yeah, homemade weapons and all that, right? Shanks, homemade shanks. When they deliver the food over there at their home.
Hide them in his braids.
What's that?
You'll hide the shank in his braids.
Buddy Love in the chat says sewage water. Castro says it draws out oils and toxins, talking about Epsom salts, I think. Yeah. So people are positing what that is, man. But yeah, man, I mean,
That looks disgusting.
I mean,
I wouldn't get in that water.
You wouldn't get in there? Imagine the smell just being around that.
Yeah. The fuck.
Interesting, and more interesting still. So
Ugh.
we'll see how he looks. Yeah, sorry. I forget. It's a morning show. People are probably having... Imagine somebody's having like breakfast or something. They all of a sudden see that and hear us speculating about what that may be, the contents of the bathtub water. But listen, the point is this. He's fighting tomorrow, and he really needs to have a good showing. And like I said, he can have that. He's going to be able to fight a guy that it's almost like the Jaron Ennis versus Karen situation. Karen is fighting today, by the way, incidentally, in a couple of hours. Some people are saying, well, like the Keyshawn Davis. First of all, Keyshawn Davis admitted on fight week that he didn't want this fight, but it was the best they could get apparently. And
but that's not true, BDA, because he specifically asked for this fight after he beat up his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And he was having that little hiatus that he didn't really announce. They put him on the shelf for a couple months. And he just randomly tweets, all I want for Christmas is a rematch with Nahir Albright.
Uh-huh.
So, well, I remember seeing that thing, like, why would he want to rematch this guy? You know, you already beat him, whatever. They took the win away because he smoked the weed, yada, yada, yada. Who cares? Right? And now that I see the rematch happening, he's acting like, he's bored with this. And he doesn't want it to even be there. I think it's I think something's up with him. I think something's up with him, BDA, because even when the announcer tried to bring up the littlest hint of what happened between them, they're calling this fight, they're advertising it as unfinished business.
Mm-hmm.
After Albright beat up his brother and embarrassed him in their family card, that was supposed to be for all of them, Keyshawn Davis didn't make weight against De Los Santos. De Los Santos did not accept any extra money or nothing. He said, I'll just take my check and go home. And that's part of the reason why I have a feeling he's not selling well right now, because last time people were like, well, bro, you didn't even make weight. Why are we going to waste our time?
Yeah, completely disrespected his own people.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think he's having a couple problems here. Oh, I'm sorry. So the whole thing when the announcer brought up the thing about, hey, what happened in that time when, you guys jumped him and blah, blah, blah. Keyshawn Davis looks at the reporter and at the announcer, he goes, you have to keep bringing that up. You have to keep talking about that. And he goes, well, it's part of the fight. It's part of the story of the fight. He's like, nah, it's not part of my story. And like, he just wanted to get as far away from that as possible. And even to hear Albright was not trying to bring it up, but I thought it was a little interesting. But they were trying to bring it up, make it part of the story. And he's like, come on, man, why are you even bringing that up? It's called unfinished business. He whooped your brother's ass and you try to jump him. That's why he's having this fight. So he's trying to act like he didn't do any of that shit. He's trying to separate himself from that. And I see this other thing too about well, I'll just wait for you to bring it up later, but yeah, I'll just cut that off there.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's saying
he's trying to separate himself from that situation.
We don't. I mean, look, that situation. First of all, I think that's the answer Benavidez should give every time they keep bringing up Canelo. Like, you gotta keep bringing that up. But no, he has to answer. Apparently, according to his fans, he has to answer every time they ask him about Canelo. But you can see here that if somebody doesn't like a subject matter of the question, he can indeed refuse to answer. And I understand why Keyshawn Davis refuses to answer the question, because it was an embarrassing moment for him. He failed to make weight. I just played a clip of him gorging himself on popcorn, shoving popcorn down his throat on fight night after the event was scrapped because he failed to make the weight. He ended up showing up there, going at the Dominican Republic fans of De Los Santos, going after them, shoving popcorn down his throat, and then attacking Nahir Albright backstage. I mean, I don't understand how they didn't lock him up right then and there afterwards back in the home. But apparently they gave him some leeway, or maybe he's too dangerous for the home. I don't know. But in all seriousness, I mean, he really screwed that up, and I understand why he doesn't want to talk about it. But like you said, the whole event right now for tomorrow centers on unfinished business. So yeah, they're going to bring it up. Now, if he stops Albright, like I said, people forgive and forget here in boxing when you put on good performances. So if he stops Nahir Albright, that's the best case scenario for him. If he struggles again against him, like Jaron Ennis against the Karen, because against the Karen, remember the story was, well, he ran, so that's why I looked back. Well, then the second one, the Karen didn't run, and he looked even worse as Jaron Ennis did. So hopefully that doesn't happen for Keyshawn Davis. For his sakes, he has to go in there and outdo the performance that he had in the first fight against Nahir Albright. If he doesn't do that, it could be trouble. But look, at 140, he seems to be stronger, even though he seems to be still struggling making weight. He looked very strong against Jermaine Ortiz. And Jermaine Ortiz, he might not be a good puncher. He tends to slide with his shots. But a lot of us expected that it was going to be a scrappy fight, a scrappy event. And it wasn't. Yeah. Jermaine Ortiz was scared of Keyshawn Davis. He was scared of the size, the speed, the power. And so Nahir Albright, I think Nahir Albright has more. By the way, Nahir Albright lost to Jermaine Ortiz when they fought years ago. And it was a relatively entertaining fight. But I do think Nahir Albright has a little bit more moxie in him compared to Jermaine Ortiz. And I think he's going to go for it. But if he goes for it too much, he might end up getting stopped. So that's the way I look at it for tomorrow. Yeah, man, that's what I think about that. Hold on a second. I'm trying to look for a video here. But anyway, yeah, so that's what we got with Keyshawn Davis there tomorrow. And what else was I going to say about him? I was going to say something else, man. Forget what.
Can I bring something up that was pertaining to him a little bit?
Sure.
I seen a post, I think it was shared on Discord, about Timothy Bradley encouraging Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis to fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, if you guys can't find anybody to fight each other, make that money, make each other legends. This is what you need to do. You need to stop being on that friendly shit. And Shakur Stevenson, being a man's man that he is, which means he's a bottom.
Yeah, I heard. I did hear he said that. We're gonna get to that actually.
He said, why? You gotta do the accent. But he just starts talking shit. He's like, I lost all respect for you again, Timothy Bradley. Why would you say that? And I'm never gonna go against Keyshawn and whoop-de-whoop. He just starts going off on him. It's just crazy that, they suggest and even the hint of him like, no, that's my baby. I'm not finna fight him. That's my baby. You're like, God, get some money, bro.
Exactly. Get some
money, bro. Y'all don't hit that hard. Y'all like, what are you scared of? You don't hit that hard, bro.
I want to get to that, by the way. I'm going to get to that thing there, but I just remember what I wanted to talk about. First of all, and second of all, shout out to Sid Boxing. Shout out to Sid Boxing FU for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, Key shit the bathwater. So he's one of the people that believes that Keyshawn Davis actually took a big old dump in the bathtub as he was trying to lose weight. So shout out to Sid Boxing for his contribution via the Super Chat here. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the show so far. Hit the like, really helps us out. I just remember what I wanted to say too about that. You said, yeah, he's claiming, nobody wants to fight me. There's plenty of opposition at 140. But the problem is, guys like Gary Anton Russell, he didn't say he didn't want to fight Keyshawn Davis, but he did say that about Shakur Stevenson. Like, hey man, keep doing. I don't think I've earned that Shakur Stevenson fight. Keep making us look good, bro. And it's like, what? Rarely do I see fighters saying I haven't earned that fight. There's something weird going on here, and not for nothing, man. But there's that Jay Prince association there with Shakur Stevenson. Anytime Jay Prince is associated with a fighter, most of the times, people around those fighters, particularly the opponents, start acting in strange ways. I don't know why. I can't quite put my finger on that. But, so yeah, you were right. We're going to get to the Shakur Stevenson, Tim Bradley thing.
You know where my family lives. You know where my daughter sleeps. You know where my kids go to school. It's strange behavior there.
Very strange.
They're signed up to find his fighters.
Like Sean Zittel said about Inoue's blood test. Yeah, highly suspicious. But don't... Hey, there was some interesting news, by the way, about Jai Opetaia, and I posted this yesterday on the Discord. Stripped Aussie champ lands title fight in shock twist. And, I'll just read you right off the bat here what he's saying. He says, Australian superstar Jai Opetaia has agreed to terms for a U.S. blockbuster against WBC cruiserweight champion Noel Mikhailian, with the only delay now being a difficult Don King. That's right, Don King still promotes certain fighters, and Mikhailian is one of them. Mikhailian just came off a win over Badu Jack. Some people say he was robbed in the first fight. He's in the top 5 of Ring Magazine's cruiserweight rankings, and so this is an interesting fight for Opetaia, who, as I said on the Discord, desperately needs a top cruiserweight on his name, because right now the only recognizable name that he has is Maurice Brady's, maybe Jack Massey. And so it says here, the surprise revelation comes as Team Opetaia have also declared Saudi billionaire Turki al-Sheikh is ready to help bankroll a massive lawsuit aimed at reclaiming the fighter's IBF strap. So the fight against Mikhailian is not yet set, although apparently they're making good progress. And then that's the bombshell revelation that they might end up taking the IBF to court. And some people are saying, okay, but I mean, if the IBF doesn't want to do something, they can be compelled to do so, can they? Well, not so fast. Not so fast. As somebody was pointing out here on Twitter, because somebody said, hey, man, how come they're letting Usyk, apparently Usyk, they're allowing him to defend his belts against no-ranked Rico Verhoeven, right? And some people were saying, well, that's actually the same, that's Exhibit A. Beeps from Ringside Reporter was saying that. Somebody said, well, that's not quite the same thing, blah, blah, blah. But then somebody else came up with another example. They said, this is Exhibit B, Joe. Exhibit A was super middleweight Osleis Iglesias unifying the IBF and IBO titles against Silagin. The IBO, according to them, is a trinket belt. Opetaia's team have a case. Give him his belt back. And again, that's just to recap what happened with Opetaia. Opetaia was going to fight, he held the IBF and he was going to fight on Zuffa. And initially they said that the Zuffa belt was only a symbolic trinket. Then they started saying, well, actually it's going to be, it's part of a UBO, so it is a belt, a significant belt that's, with rankings and all that. And that's when the IBF said, well, hold on, that's a unification. You can't do that. And they took the belt away. That's from what I understood of it all. But now this person on Twitter is saying that they allowed Osleis Iglesias to fight in a unification against a guy who held the IBO belt, which is considered not necessarily considered a legitimate belt by the establishment yet. Maybe in a couple of years we're going to be in the undisputed in the 5-belt era. But the point remains that it is considered an organization on into itself, and yet the IBF didn't do anything about that. So I'm pretty sure if somebody, if Turki al-Sheikh bankrolls Opetaia's cause here, with enough digging, they're going to find plenty of examples of the IBF tripping over their own rules. There have to be some. I'm pretty sure if you just go on AI right now and look for some of those, it's going to give you some. So the IBF is in a bit of a pickle, it seems to me here. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that.
Imagine they're in court. The AI told us 3 times.
No,
Three times.
It's the IBF is up against it if indeed Turki al-Sheikh bankrolls this thing, because you know how I feel about the sanctioning bodies. They're dirty across the board, and so I'm still miffed every time I go on social media, or whatever, and I hear people, the belts, we can't let Zuffa take over and disrespect the belts. I go, did you just start? Sometimes I say, okay, this person just started watching boxing 2 years ago or 3 years ago, because they really do think that the belts are somehow legitimate and they carry legacy. I mean, plenty of things carry legacy. There's governments out there that have long legacies, and yet they go on around, destroying the world.
Yeah, like the North Korean government.
Exactly. I mean, well, what does legacy have to do with it? It's about the now, and it's about the last 20 years or 30 years or more. So, yeah, I mean, that's what's going on with Opetaia. And let me tell you, Opetaia, they also announced, and they said it before, by the way. Let me just pull it up here. They had said before that people in Zuffa were going to be able to fight in non-Zuffa events. So that sort of throws a damper on this whole thing of from David Benavidez' side of, well, I don't know why he went to Zuffa if that's going to be a difficult fight to make. I mean, have you tried making it? I mean, have you? They don't really.
How long until David Benavidez starts saying, "Well, you guys across the street"?
I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that doesn't happen, but it's already started. And yet, as I was saying, they've already been talking about how, and they just recently announced that, by the way, that Zuffa, you can fight outside of it. I know they were talking about the Ring magazine belt or something like that. Hold on, because I'm trying to look for the fucking tweet that I had here. Yeah, I can't find it now. Early in the morning, I have a difficult time finding the links that I supposedly had on my list here. Anyway, the point is that there shouldn't be that much of a problem making an Opetaia versus Benavidez fight, but the only one who's complaining right now is Benavidez. And they haven't even started trying negotiating, so can only wonder and can only imagine what's going to happen if negotiations even start at some point, maybe this year or next year. Now, speaking of negotiations and blah, 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 Vasyl Lomachenko, that was the big news on Twitter and the boxing world, eyeing a return, rather. a fall return. Apparently, he was nursing an injury, and some people were claiming that he was running out his top rank contract. He's going to be coming back. He says he wants big fights only. Kid Austin already called him out. But apparently, because I had to look it up. I said, how old is Lomachenko anyway? I looked it up, or somebody told me right on the Discord, and then I looked it up. Yes, indeed, he's 38 years old. 38 years old. So, Sobers, good idea, bad idea, worthy of the excitement that some people are showing. What do you think?
Talk about Lomachenko's return.
That's right.
I mean, if it's his choice here in the ring, right? He's not hasn't fought. He feels like he still got it. I feel like he's probably seeing his buddy Usyk and be like, damn, well, if he still got it, I still got it. So why not? And really, I feel like he should have fought Gervonta Davis when, he was 36. He kind of had the chance. I feel like he would have beat him. And low-key feel like maybe he can still handle him. I don't think he's ever been that good, and that's that fight that's always been eluding him. Maybe go for it now. Make sure that he can take all the sauce that he let him be on all the sauce that he wants, and let him get in the ring.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's gonna be that's the Sober's take on that. That yeah, why not let him come back? I gotta tell you, I think it's a bad idea though, because 38 years old, pretty old for a lightweight, super featherweight, whatever weight he comes in at, and then on top of that, the boxing establishment never did him any favors when he was a professional. Contrary to popular belief, the establishment was in love with him, blah, blah, blah. No, the establishment, I think the timeline was this rather. He came out of the woodwork, started destroying people like Rocky Martinez, dominating Gary Russell, Gary Russell. It was only his third professional fight. And immediately some people took a dislike to him. Oh, he's overhyped, this and that. He didn't have the right skin color that they wanted. So immediately started shitting on him. Now, the boxing establishment did in the beginning try to push him because compared to his lack of experience, he was nevertheless beating up solid professionals and looking good doing it. But then as they realized that they kept pushing him and he wasn't breaking through into the mainstream, I think they decided, you know what? There's not much we can do with this guy. The boxing media said that he's entertaining, but he doesn't speak English all that well. He's not particularly vocal. He doesn't trash talk. He's already in his 30s. Then what happened? Then Devin Haney started coming along. Teofimo Lopez came along. And I think Top Rank looked at Teofimo Lopez. And by the way, now that Teofimo Lopez, people, he's got a couple of losses on his record. People see that he's mentally volatile. But back then, we didn't really know that much about him in that regard. Whenever you have a prospect, most people only seem to see the best. Or hope for the best. They look at a guy and go, oh, sky's the limit, type of thing. And so I think they thought the same thing with Lopez. So they compared him with Lomachenko, and they said, you know what? We'd rather see Teofimo Lopez win. I think that's the way they looked at it. The young, brash, flashy, hard-hitting guy. Let's go with him. Lomachenko, he's already in his 30s. Time is of the essence. That's the way they look at it. But they should have stuck with Lomachenko.
Shaking,
exactly.
Latino, right?
Exactly. And then the Haney fight, again, even more so now, more pronounced, because then by then Lomachenko was older, and they said, yeah, let's give it to Haney. They still had their hopes that he was going to be the next Mayweather or whatever. They did no favors, and in fact, Lomachenko, they should have stuck with Lomachenko, because every time he lost, he would end up dominating opponents that other fellow fighters couldn't do that. And by the way, he never lost convincingly. The Salido win, he didn't get schooled or anything, and Salido had to pull out all the tricks in the book just to eke out a win. Lopez fought him, and when Lomachenko was injured, and he was still close, maybe not on the scorecards. They already had those filled up before the fight. But he gave a one-handed small guy, lightweight, in Lomachenko, gave Teofimo Lopez hell. And then the Haney fight, he won it, and they took it away from him. And even then, he would go on to fight Nakatani, beat the crap out of him. Same thing against Come. Cambosos became the first man to stomp him, and didn't have a size advantage like Richards and Hitchins did. So Lomachenko had incredible ability. He may still have some of it left, but what's the point? I mean, it's they didn't do him any favors when he was 35 years old. They're not going to do him any favors now that he's 38. And with diminished ability, it doesn't look all that great. Now, I will say this. People are talking about the Tank Davis fight. That's the only one that I looked at and I go, yeah, that's a winnable fight for him, because Tank Davis fights at an old man's pace. and so that would benefit the old man. But I mean, what's really the point in here? He comes in here and then what? I mean, what's a significant fight? I'll say this right now. Even if he beats Tank Davis, really, I mean, that some people are gonna celebrate. They're like, oh, he beat Tank Davis, but who's Tank Davis anyway? I've said it before. That dude's overrated, and he's not even the best lightweight in the world. So I mean, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I understand why he's doing it, but I just don't think it's a good idea. But then again, no risk, no reward. That's probably, and that's the way this guy's been looking at it. He's a 2-time gold medalist, multiple division champion, ended up winning a strap in only his third fight, I believe it was, third or fourth fight. So, he's used to taking risks. He's used to pushing himself. So we'll see what happens. Skull Kid
Gervonta Davis, he's not nobody no more, right? Well, I mean, he still carries a little bit of weight, right? When he comes back, there'll be some people that will be excited.
Mm-hmm.
But when Lomachenko was coming up and he was, he had his moment of his little 15 minutes of fame, that was a fight he was chasing down. That's the guy he really wanted to beat. It proved to everybody, like, oh, you think he's the best? Watch what I do to him. Right? So I still maybe think that Lomachenko has that in his head, like, this is still the guy I need to chase down and beat. Like, he's been running basically his whole career from winning that fight. So, like, well, maybe I can still get it now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe before it's too late, he wants to squeeze in a couple more things in there into that career of his. Snackford says, I remember Teddy Atlas saying Tank Davis was much more skilled than Canelo. Well, that's the other thing. That's another guy. I mentioned Max Kellerman, that I was rewatching some of his worst hits from 20-something years ago on ESPN, Friday Night Fights. Teddy Atlas is another guy. I don't know why. I was rereading some old issues of Ring Magazine, and I remember that Al Bernstein used to be in the old 90s ESPN telecast, and then they fired him when they rebranded the Friday Night Fight. I don't know if people remember ESPN. They had ESPN2, and then they changed their ESPN2 logo to make it look grittier, right? And that's why they got Max Kellerman, because Max Kellerman at the time had a public access show. I remember he was a wannabe rapper. He wanted to be in the culture. And that's why the geniuses at ESPN probably thought, oh, he's hip with the kids, he's a rapper and all that. Let's get him in there. And then they also got Teddy.
Put a new raw voice. We need a new raw look.
Exactly.
We're touching the streets now.
We need a grittier, more urban look. Let's get a Jewish guy from Manhattan. Yeah, let's get that guy in there. But what was I going to say? So then they replaced Teddy Atlas with Al Bernstein. And look, Al Bernstein now is, I think he's retired, because we don't see him on the PBC telecast anymore. They replaced him with that fat guy that used to do the show there with Luke Thomas on MMA. Again, just genius decisions all across the board 30 years later from network executives. But the point is that Al Bernstein, he runs circles around Teddy Atlas. I don't understand why Teddy Atlas is famous. I really don't. I mean, his boxing takes aren't particularly good. He's a tryhard in my book. And, the way he was going at it against Mark Kriegel during the Beterbiev versus Coring fight, or whatever the guy's name was, Colling on ESPN 2018, 2019. I mean, the guy he's got to stick up his behind of his keister. And I'm not the biggest Teddy Atlas fan. So I remember when they took him off, and when they took Al Bernstein off and they put Teddy Atlas in there, and Teddy Atlas was insufferable. I still remember, Sobers, I'm going on a diatribe, I'm sorry, but when Bernard Hopkins beat Jean Pascal in the rematch, and Teddy Atlas had picked Jean Pascal to knock out Bernard Hopkins. And as Bernard Hopkins said, he said, it's one thing to pick against me, but before you start talking about knocking me out, you better start talking about whether you can beat me in a decision. So anyway, Teddy Atlas said that, and then the next week, when Hopkins beat Pascal and became the oldest fighter ever to win a legitimate championship, Teddy Atlas like, well, he did the old thing that you see some YouTubers do. Well, I give you credit for the win. Congratulations. But if Pascal would have done what he was supposed to, and I got that old trick. He only lost because he didn't do what he was supposed to. It had nothing to do with the opponent. What the opponent did. It's all.
I've heard a couple people say that on here before on this panel.
Well, you're not talking about me, are you? Wait a minute.
No.
Okay. I thought you were talking about me. I said, well, maybe I have done it. I try to be slick sometimes. But so that's what Teddy Atlas. He couldn't even give his ego is so big. He couldn't even give Bernard Hopkins credit. He's like, well, congratulations, but it's the other guy's fault that he didn't win. It's like, what? What are people in the chat saying, by the way? Snackford says, okay, so that's what he said about Teddy.
I'll say the thing with Teddy Atlas, maybe when you're newer to the sport, like when I was younger, and you hear Teddy Atlas talk, he sounds like he's making sense, right? Oh, we need sanctioning bodies. We need a central governing body. Oh, they're robbing the fighters and this and that, and you know what I mean? Like he says all the basic shit. They're like, oh wow, the obvious things that are wrong with the sport. But if you listen to him, long enough, you'll see like, oh, like at one point there was a show with Stephen A. Smith and Teddy Atlas, and it was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
It was the absolute worst thing to listen to. It was just both these idiots, just
Screaming.
trying to see who can out scream each other or out overreact and you're not listening. But hold on, Teddy, let me no, you're not listening. You're not like it was just it was goofy and it was very hard to listen to, right? And yeah, that's when I seen that I was like, oh, this guy's just a clown. He's just the boxing version of Stephen A. Smith. He's just a hot air balloon.
Mm-hmm. By the way,
he doesn't ever say anything of substance. But go ahead, BDA.
Gypsy is the guy who told us about a documentary somebody made. It was boxing basement, I believe it was. Hold on, let me just check it out. He did a long video.
Boxing basement. What the hell kind of? Of course, that's the type of shit Gypsy's watching. What the hell?
You've never heard of Boxing Basement? It's a good channel. He did a very good video exposing Teddy Atlas and how Teddy Atlas was always a tryhard. I believe that's the term I used, and I think it's apropos because, yeah, here it is. Hold on, let me put it up on the screen here. This Boxing Basement, he says, Teddy Atlas exposed, a fraud. And, it's 19 minutes, yeah. So, talks about the whole, Teddy Atlas still living off the I trained Mike Tyson when he was a teenager thing. Instead of the I put a gun to a teenager's head thing, yeah, he goes with the I trained him. I compelled him, I trained him.
When he was thirsty, I brought him water.
I trained him with a whip to his back. That's essentially what he's saying. But yeah, so that's Teddy Atlas. I want to read a couple of comments from the chat here real quick. Skulky says, Teddy loves sucking the Afro-Anglo nuts. Snackford says, Tantrum Teddy has always been a clown. JDA says, Jesus, BDA, what's up with 7 in the morning? Well, it's a BDA morning show, Joe. We've been doing this for a couple of years. I think a couple of months now. A year. We're going on a year now. Observed conscious awareness says Lomachenko can still have a decent run. Yeah, it's a decent run, but there's the danger that he's going to sully his legacy if he doesn't look good. But then again, that's a story with boxing. So many people come back and they look bad, and that's just on par with the course. The better of everything says, maybe Sufa can monopolize boxing and we can get past all the negotiations BS in boxing. Yeah, well, that's what some people are hoping. Snackford says Loma was robbed in all 3 losses. What else we got here? Hard Rico says, I saw a comment saying Zuffa is white supremacy, probably because they are scared it will be more difficult to rob what did he say? They will to rob non-American fighters. Yeah, maybe. I like the matchmaking so far. on Zuffa. That's all I'll say. It's about the product, and people are saying they're going to ruin boxing. Well, right now, boxing has been in a dire straits for a long time because of the performances, or lack thereof. So if you're putting on a good product, then you're halfway through into actually trying to fix some of this stuff. It's the way I look at it. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Here's David Benavidez saying something controversial, but Benavidez is so entertaining right now. And he's still living off the narrative of, Canelo dogged me, that he's still able to extrapolate some of that into goodwill. And so I don't think he's going to be getting into trouble over this. Check this out. This was on the Dean the Great, I think. Yeah, the Bronner Dean the Great Circus that's going on. Check this out.
Put it in. Benavidez in this bitch. Nigga, you know what it is. What up, G? We in this bitch. Hey, B. You wanna holler at you, guys? What up, bro? What's good, my nigga? Man, you already know what's good, gang. Hey, I'm waiting on you.
I don't know if people missed that, but check out what the Benavidez said. Listen to his greeting.
What's good, my nigga? Man. What's good, my nigga?
So there you go. Some people were saying, well, Benavidez technically is Ecuadorian, and there's very dark people there, so he has the N-word pass. Other people say he's a cool Mexican, and therefore he has the N-word pass, as most cool Mexicans, cool Mexicans like myself tend to have the N-word pass. So other people say that apparently he's got the Dominican blood in him. So I don't know, man. I mean, he didn't get into trouble for saying it. I know some people. I thought you could only get into trouble if you said the hard ER. I thought that was it. Not with the IGGA. I don't like the word either way, whether it's IGGA or GGER. I think it's low class, and I think people should get rid of it as a whole. But that's just me, and apparently Benavidez doesn't feel that way. He still just wants to go out and say the word. And I think these guys were too inebriated to notice that he said it. Or maybe they're big fans of Benavidez and they don't care. The other question I have is, why are they? Where are they? Are they hanging out in the Black Lodge or something from Twin Peaks? Look at that. It's gonna be, they're gonna be talking in reverse or something. Very interesting locale. That's what I think. All right, now another thing that I wanted to get to. We got a lot to get to here, fellas. We got a bit of a long morning ahead of us, and I'm trying to speed through a lot of these subjects here. Oh, this is the one that I missed yesterday, Silvers. Not yesterday. The last episode on Monday. Ran out of time, and I forgot I wanted to play this. This is Bill Haney. I don't know where he's at. I don't want to know really. But he's surrounded by people, and they're arguing about Jaron Ennis and how his kid is the best. Blah blah blah. Check this out.
32 heavy bags.
What you talking? No, you said that. 32
That's
heavy
what he
bags.
said.
He asked me
They
what I
punched
agree.
back. They was
No.
You won't say the fights. You saying the fighters that
I'm
Boots fight
saying when you
wasn't
had
qualified.
I'm saying when you had on that thing that you was talking about.
Yeah. When Boots was punching
So,
him.
And you was
Stan
standing right in front
Jonas
of
is a
him.
heavy bag.
Stan Jonas is a heavy bag.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. Huh? It's Stan Jonas, a heavy
Yeah,
bag.
is he a heavy bag?
Definitely he's a heavy bag. He's
Yeah.
not a he's he's not a is he a technical fighter? Or is he right there to be seen?
I mean, what does that even mean? Technical fighter. Does it technical? So this is where I'm getting at. Technical for them is moving around the ring. If you don't move, you're not technical. Well, wait a minute. Golovkin wasn't technical. Julio Cesar Chavez wasn't technical. You have to move to be. I think that it could be the opposite. If you're moving because you can't do anything else, that means you lack technique. If you're clinching because you can't do anything else, that means you lack technique. We're gonna get to that.
We see technical fighters get beat every day now. Let's not act like we'll see technical fighters get they fucking ass whipped.
Was he right there? Was he right there? Was he right there to be hit?
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. The way y'all
I mean, was Brian Norman technical?
Yeah.
Was Brian Norman Jr. technical when he couldn't deal with Quentin Randall, couldn't deal with the fucking side stance and didn't know what to do there? When he was getting dropped by Boca Chica, whatever his name was. Was that technical?
Boca Chica, little mouth, wet mouth.
Yeah. All right, let's keep hearing this.
looking at me right now. Listen, if I turn, listen, wait, cuz.
What fighter stands in the pocket and exchange with niggas and don't get
So
hit?
this guy over here on the side, that's a comedian.
That's a comedian?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Young Gilly, I think that's his name. He's like 48, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. When you hear these two messing around and talking, you can see that they're both. What? They're just trying to make noise and like shout each other. But it's exactly how Stephen A. Smith and Teddy Atlas sound, trying to out-talk each other. It sounded exactly like that. Just like, what is this?
There you go, man. But
performative, very performative.
That's the new word. That's the new word they was throwing around. Performative. I see it all the time now. Performative this, performative that. You used to hear it in academia.
Well, I said it first.
There you go. Yeah. Now performative is just means doing a lot of gesticulating or being fake, right? Being disingenuous with something. That's the in the modern parlance. But somebody, you know what? I've said it before about Devin Haney. He's not that skilled. People, for some reason, believe that he's like on a Floyd Mayweather level. I don't even think he's on a Shakur Stevenson level. And that's coming from a guy who I think people are overrating Shakur Stevenson a little bit. But somebody on the Twitter said something that I've been saying for a while now. But he said it in a peculiar way. He said, "Zero pocket arsenal." Talking about Haney. All he does is shell up or grab when you get close or either try to skate out of the pocket. When you get past his range, he's like a deer in the headlights. He is average at mid-range at best. He only looks good from long range versus them flat-footed trash defense guys he's fought. That's about Daniel. That's true. I mean, that's what I've said. He doesn't have this great technique. I mean, look at Brian Norman. Oh, great performance. Well, when Norman got past his jab, what did Haney do? Just clinch. He would back himself up onto the ropes. He would back himself up onto the ropes And then when he didn't have anywhere else to go, he would clinch. And he was lucky that Brian Norman didn't know how to gauge distance. I mean, you want to watch how you're supposed to gauge distance against a guy like Haney, watch what Lomachenko did to him when he beat him. Or even Jojo Diaz, by the way, who gave him hell. Little ass Jojo fat chubby Diaz gave him hell. Brian Norman couldn't do it with all his firepower and all that, but that's why people are so enamored with that Brian Norman win, because they thought Norman was this monster. He had good punching power. It's interesting that whenever they talk about guys with punching power, they go, oh, that's all he has, punching power. He's a flat-footed this, blah, blah, blah. But with Brian Norman, he was supposed to be this killer, apparently.
Oh, they're creaming their pants over this guy.
It's
the
weird.
Power is different when he touches you, but when he touches you, we gonna see.
Oh man, yeah, that was weird, man. That was weird how they really hyped that
they
guy
love
up.
they love those back foot bitches who shake their ass and can't hurt a fly. You know, quote unquote skill and talent, ring IQ. But when they see someone that can hit hard, who has the right complexion, they're all over it. Jerron Ennis,
Keyshawn Davis,
Brian Norman Jr., who hadn't even really proved himself, but you see how that bad they wanted him to beat Devin Haney. They wanted him to have all the Devin Haney's accolades immediately. They would rather have had it been him.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You're right. There was another look at David Benavidez. He scintillated the world just by stopping a guy he wasn't really supposed to stop. There's nothing out there better than stoppages. And a lot of these people that talk about the sweet science and this and I can watch. I like watching decisions. I like watching a clinch fest. Now, once they see an knockout, you see they start getting excited and they start hyperventilating on the air. That's when you know, okay, you're lying about how you enjoy. There's nothing better than watching the sweet science. And first of all, if we like that dude that wrote in, what was Jean-Jacques, who's studying sociology at the Université Supérieure over there in France. He said it himself, these people that keep talking about the sweet science, that's the way of saying they're sweet. You know what I mean? They they like to bat for the other team, as it were. Because they like that the guys clinching each other. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's their way of saying it's their ability, or it's their way of normalizing what they want, what they like to watch within what is considered a macho sport. Sort of like an inoculation. It's like, their girlfriends walk into the living room. What are you watching? I'm watching boxing. But meanwhile, it allows them to watch what they get off on sexually, but through what is supposed to be a masculine sport. That's what he was saying. That's what Jean-Jacques was saying, and I think there's something to it. Speaking of... and you said the thing about the punches-overs, and it's true. Because first of all, this dude, Bill Haney, he's doing all this jawing about his son, Devin Haney, and Jerron Ennis. He ain't never fought punching bags. Well, he's destroying the punching. He destroyed the punching bag, right? Devin Haney, when he has a punching bag in front of him, he can do anything but punch and clinch. One punch at a time, clinch. Running away from Jose Lamidez. Being unable to back up a small, older Lomachenko. Couldn't do anything to him. The body shots. Everyone's talking, the people who like to say that he won that fight. Oh, the body shots. He couldn't do anything to the guy. The guy kept coming forward. The body shots. I mean, you want to watch when body shots are effective. Watch Jose Luis Castillo against Mayweather. He had that guy running, he had him clinching, using elbows. That's effective body punching right there. When you're hitting a guy with body shots and he keeps coming, that's really not that effective. And
BDA.
Yes.
They tried to get Haney a knockout. They tried. They put him in there with Gamboa. They put him in there with Linares.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to get him a knockout. He just couldn't do it.
That's the one that really surprised me when he couldn't. Okay, Gamboa, I said, okay, maybe, it was during the pandemic. Maybe he didn't train proper. I don't know. When he couldn't put a dent in Linares, who had nothing but losses by stoppage, and this guy couldn't do anything, that's when I said, okay, yeah, this dude. And I don't even think it's because Haney lacks punching power. I just think he lacks the tenacity and the wherewithal to go for it. Because in that fight...
Afterwards, he was asking Linares, how's my power?
Yeah.
How's my power? Linares looked at him like,
Yeah, you can tell he was. You can tell Haney that's on the at the top of his mind, at the front of his mind, the power thing. And again, people say, well, hell no, he dropped Prograis and Norman. That's what I'm saying. That's what makes it worse. He can punch a little bit, but he just doesn't have the self-belief to actually string together a combination. For him, it's jab, clinch, back up, clinch, punch shot, right hand, clinch. That's all he has. He's a one-dimensional fighter. And people are surprised to hear that, but it is what it is. Show me a fight where he's actually like what Shakur Stevenson did against Hartunian in certain rounds, where he's standing in the pocket at close range. Show me when Haney's ever done that against the world. And, maybe he did it against a low-level opponent coming up, maybe against the Mexican Beetlejuice over there in Tijuana. But I've never actually seen him do it against a world-class opponent. And that's the other thing I want to talk about. So Bill Haney's deriding Jaron Ennis. Who has he fought? He's overrated, he's saying. It's interesting how a lot of these dudes that can get stoppages, it's them and their teams that do a lot of jawing, a lot of talking. You don't see Jaron Ennis do. I mean, Jaron Ennis likes to talk a little bit, but not like Haney. It's always the fighters that can't crack that talk the most. I'm gonna whoop your ass. You're gonna be a whooping. I'm gonna put belt to ass. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And then it's an uneventful 12-round decision. It reminds me of predators. Like lions when they fight each other and one of them submits, the other one stops. Because they have this mechanism where they have the ability to kill and they seem
predators or predators?
Predators. Not the credit. Well, predators too. Like, predators shoot, by the way.
And then you said lion legal. I was like, what?
No, I didn't say any of that. But yeah,
okay, my bad.
When lions fight each other and one of them submits, the other one stops because it's ingrained in their evolutionary, in their instincts. It's like, okay, they know what they're capable of, and that if they don't stop, they can kill their fellow lion. You'll see chickens; they don't have that ability. They'll peck each other to death because they don't have that instinct ingrained in them of that they're able to actually, they don't have they don't have the same weaponry as lions, and so it's not ingrained within them to stop. And that's what it reminds me of with these back foot bitches and powder puff punchers. They like to talk about how they can do this and they can do that, but I don't know if it's like a Chihuahua mentality where they know they can't do it, so they have to bark the loudest to try to compensate. But you see a guy like Jaron Ennis who has firepower, and I believe something tells me he's that power might be carrying through at 154, but he doesn't really need to do all that. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna whoop it, as much as guys like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney do. So it's interesting that the power punchers don't have to talk that much. It's usually the other guys. Like I said, the powder puff punchers who have to do it. Shout out to Sid Boxing FU for his contribution with the super chat. Shout out to Sid Boxing for dialing in those shekels early in the morning. And he says, what's he saying? He says, I hope that means he's agreeing with me. I hope he didn't accidentally hit that key there while he was in the bathroom trying to push it out, if you know what I mean. You're not supposed to do that, by the way. That can actually lead to complications. But I think what he's actually doing, he's doing the thing that we usually... I don't have it with me here, though, on the soundboard.
He hit the speech to text button on accident.
No, but I don't have it. Yeah, so shout out to Sid Boxing. I don't have the fucking soundboard here with me, the second one, so I can't play the sound effects. I'll play another one here. Hold on.
You blew it!
There you go. It's Bobby D, as I like to call him.
Hello, fellas. Everybody's here.
No, we're not going to wrap this one up. I'm going to wrap you up.
Oh, all right. Well, shout out to Sid Boxing FU for his contribution with the super chat. And what are people in the chat saying? Let me read a couple of chat comments here. Vader says Stevenson very much has the fighting style and personality of a chicken. Whoa. Castro says they ain't gold hands and platinum nails. All right. Know exactly what that means, but I'll agree with you. Steph K, official scorecard says LOBDA. That's a fantastic comparison. Well, thank you. Thank you. I try. Mohammed Amhar, Bruce Lee says, like Sean Strickland in MMA, I'm ready to die in there. Proceeds to jab for 5 rounds. Yeah, he proceeds to jab for 5 rounds and sticks his knees up as he's advancing, like he's in a Russian dancer or something. That you know what, the Khamzat Chimaev fight, I watched it, and that's why I didn't jump into the Taqueria either, because then if I jump in, then the fight sucked, and then they blame me for it. But I actually thought it was okay. Sure would've. There you go. Yeah, I actually enjoyed that fight. It wasn't bad, the Chimaev fight. But the Strickland versus what's his name, Dreykus, the rematch. Oh my, I didn't. I said, yeah. Now I realize why I stopped watching MMA, because it was boring. Pugilism says Haney has a Cuban style of clock control and playing keep away. USA Pro style is built to break an opponent down past 12 rounds and be the last man standing. Langsbury says, will Mbili beat Canelo? Well, that's what everyone's wondering. Pancho V says Linares has a chin. Most of Linares' losses were because of the fights were stopped by cuts. Linares has a chin, but he cuts easily. Well, that's what happened against DeMarco, although he seemed to be on the way out too against DeMarco. It wasn't just the cuts. Shout out to Uncle Charles. Waking up early in the morning to join us here. Says salute BDA Boxing. Shout out to Uncle Charles right there. I want to talk about some of the other things in the news here, and this is a fight that I've been advocating for, and apparently it could come to fruition. Filip Hrgovic is fighting tomorrow on the Zone, I believe, against Dave Allen, and they're talking about him against Moses Saitama in August, believe it or not. It says Filip Hrgovic goes into his Doncaster contest on Saturday as a significant favorite, and he should be. And if he wins, it says another big fight awaits him. And because he used to be with Matchroom, now he's with Queensberry, who of course handles Aitama. So it seems like this is the fight to make for him. And I was reading some of the comments on Boxing Scene, and some people were saying, I don't know about this fight for Aitama. Maybe he needs one more or a little bit more seasoning before they put him in there against Aitama. So, what do you think about a potential Aitama versus Hrgovic fight?
I was looking at the ratings the other day for after the Dubois fight between Wardley, and I seen that Moses Atama was like in the top 5 for at least 2 of the sanctioning bodies. Right, I think he's number 1 for the WBO, so he's already going to be mandatory for Dubois, and so he's already at the top. He's already touching the world level at this point. They're already ready to give him a shot at a world title. So these are the kind of fights he actually has to take.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think we're at the taking him slow. He's a baby anymore. He's ranked too high enough.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, listen. This is a good fight for that. First of all, Hrgovic has to beat David Allen tomorrow. That's number one. Nothing's a given in boxing. That's why they fight the fights, especially a heavyweight. One punch can end it all. But as it pertains to an Aitama versus Hrgovic fight, I think it's a good fight for Aitama because he would put him in there against a different type of style that he's ever been up against as a professional. I don't want to see Aitama up against shorter, fat heavyweights. I think he's too quick and too hard punching and too precise for those type of opponents. I think he would have an easy time with most of those guys. What he needs to fight, I want to see if he can fight a long range boxer who can take a shot. And Hrgovic, although he was stopped against Dubois, he wasn't stopped because he was hurt or because he was out or about to be out and hit the canvas. He was stopped because of cuts and because, not for nothing, but Dubois went in there with those headbutts of his that people seem to overlook. And so he's a long-range guy who's resistant. He's not a big puncher either. I mean, he's not the biggest puncher in the heavyweight division, especially for a guy his size. So that would actually benefit Aitama in there in that, hey, we're going to find out whether you can take a punch, but you're not going in there against a monster puncher, so you should be okay. That's why I think, based on all those factors, I think this is a very good fight for Aitama. I was about to say the perfect fight, but I don't think it's still a dangerous fight against a proven contender. And if he can legitimately stop him, then that would only increase Aitama's already red-hot profile. So Hrgovic has to play his part first tomorrow. He has to win the fight. And then we'll see what happens. So, very interesting fight. Now, initially, they might have wanted to put in their Aitama in there against Jared Anderson, but Anderson had to drop out of his fight last week. So that's probably in hand. And Jared Anderson probably doesn't want to step in there against Aitama without a tune-up of some sort. So maybe that's why they're scrapping that one. Sid Boxing says, for Fox says BDA, why you ain't got that? I'm sorry, man. It's in the morning. I don't have the full complete soundboard because first of all it's too dirty, and I like to keep them PG, or at least PG-13. The episode's PG-13 on in the morning. These morning shows cannot be dirty.
BDA needs his pills for the virality.
For the what?
For the virality. If you want to go
I mean, listen. I can't be playing dirty sounds and people, having coitus at 7:35 in the morning. No, I just can't do it. Won't do it. I get standards, believe it or not. So yeah, so that's that. Hopefully that explains the Sid Boxing. That's why I ain't got that because that's in another soundboard. What else do I have here, on the soundboard? No, I don't have it. I had something, Did that? No, I don't have it. Sorry, Sid Boxing. Sorry for that. But yeah, but thank you for your contribution, man. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. What else did I have to talk about here? Oh, interestingly enough, this is Don Charles, who is Dubois' trainer. Again, he's 2-0 against, what's his name? Ben Davidson. Because Dubois is trained by Don Charles and Worley was trained by Ben Davidson, just like Ben Davidson trained Joshua when Dubois beat him. So right now, Don Charles is 2-0, might be even bigger than that. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if he's already beaten other Ben Davidson fighters, but for as far as I know, 2-0. And so check out what he had to say. I don't know if he was throwing criticism over at Ben Davidson. Check this out.
The most basic punch in boxing is a jab. You need to know how to defend it.
By the second,
And someone at that level should be shown how to defend a jab. What they've been doing, they call it film studies, yeah? Mm-hmm. Anyway, don't get me started because, there's a lot of, I'm not a bitter man. There's a lot of anger when I hear the bullshit that's been sold to boxers, yeah? That's lazy coaching. Mm-hmm. That's lazy coaching. It's overrated. Film studies are overrated. You film study us. Okay, we'll change that particular thing you've been studying on us. What are you going to do?
right.
What are you going to do? I spend time practically on the practicalities to the most.
So that's Don Charles they're talking about. And some people are saying that he was throwing shade, as I like to say, throwing shade at Ben Davidson, who's renowned for his film studies and all that. And also the guy that they have in their corner, Lee Wiley, who used to be famous on YouTube for film studies. And I don't know if some people are saying, is he throwing shade at Ben Davidson? And I mean, first of all, I agree with Don Charles. If film studies is all you're doing, and you're not actually practicing the certain moves in the gym or the lab, as I like to say now, which I hate, the lab, then he has a point. But because it's true, if you're just doing film studies, like, oh, okay, this guy does this, that, and the other.
Laboratory.
The boxing laboratory, yeah. I'll give you an example. Juan Manuel Marquez, 1999, takes on Freddie Norwood. Freddie Norwood, they used to call him Little Hagler, undefeated featherweight. He used to fight pretty aggressively. He had a very kind of an awkward style, not even really good come forward style, but he just made it awkward. He would fire looping shots and all that, very dirty too. And so Juan Manuel Marquez thought, okay, this guy's him and his team thought, okay, he's gonna come in and we're gonna counter him, blah blah blah. Freddie Norwood threw a curveball at them, and actually he became a counterpuncher in that. And Juan Manuel Marquez, his strong suit was never actually going out there and chasing guys around the ring, and so he had a difficult time with Norwood and ended up losing a split decision. I forget if it was split decision, but it was a very close fight. Neither guy really stood out, but Norwood was able to frustrate Marquez because he gave him. And Marquez later said, we expected one thing and we got another. And so that's the thing, though. It's if you're just doing a film study, but you're not actually, you should be focusing more on drilling the fundamentals too on your opponent. And again, I'm not saying that that's what Ben Davidson does, that all he does is film study. But right now in boxing, you get some guys that are able to fight on the inside, but they don't know how to get on the inside. Jaron Ennis that's the main example. He can fight on the inside, but when it comes to actually chasing a guy down and really working his way onto the inside and staying there, a la Julio Cesar Chavez or Golovkin or Bam Rodriguez, a lot of guys can't do it. They look bad trying to do it. And, if you were to ask me who are the best guys out there right now at chasing opponents down and staying on the inside, I really can't tell you. I mean, Keyshawn Davis, I like what I saw against Ortiz, but he kept him at a distance when he was pressuring him. He wasn't working his way to the inside. Bam can do it. Lomachenko, who's returning now, I guess he's active almost officially, so he can do it. Usyk is able to push people back and do it too. He's multidimensional. Shakur Stevenson against Hartunonian worked his way on the inside, so I guess he can do it. But I've never actually seen him do it against a guy who Hartunonian wasn't exactly moving too much. When De Los Santos actually threw a curveball at Shakur Stevenson just for seconds during their fight, Shakur Stevenson was looking bad. Same thing. Another example: Ryan Garcia against Haney. There were moments when Garcia got tired because he wasn't in shape for that one. people like to bring up the Austrian thing and all that, but I mean, the guy was in bad shape in that fight. He only had 3 good rounds in him, and then afterwards he was just fighting on fumes. But he actually was back foot bitching it against Haney. And Haney was looking just as bad as Norman Jr. looked against him. Overreaching, winging wide shots and missing. That's how he was looking at it. So these dudes, that's why I was saying that Teofimo Lopez should have done that against Shakur Stevenson. He should have back foot bitched it, made him look bad. But a lot of these guys, they're afraid to do that. They're unwilling to do that. Maybe they don't know how to do it. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, we have good fighters right now. A mark of a complete roster in boxing is when you have pound for pound debates. Well, who's the number one guy? Oh, it could be this guy. It could be that guy. That means there's quality. But outside of the pound for pound list, I don't see that many guys who can do it all. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe if I put more thought into it and I actually start listing of the complete fighters out there, I'm going to find out that there's more. But because, that's one of the traps that you can usually fall into after you've watched boxing for a long time. You start reminiscing and waxing poetic about the past. Oh, the fighters on my day. That's what I used to hear, from guys who used to watch boxing in the 50s and 40s even. Oh, back in the day, these guys could do it all, blah, blah, blah. And then I would watch tape and I go, I don't know, some of these guys are slapping. There's way too much posing from some of these dudes. I don't really think they were that complete. But anyway, I don't want to glorify the past too much. So that's what I'm trying to get at here. And now I lost track of what I was saying. What are people saying in the chat, by the way? Russell, too, he says, Castro, inside effective pressure. Yeah. Gary Anton Russell, he knows how to work his way on the inside, too. Against Puello, he couldn't really do much, but Matias is another guy who can fight on the inside, even though I don't know how much he's got left in the tank now, but yeah, he's another guy that can fight on the inside. Langsberg says, Ben getting Dubois nightmares a little bit. Yeah, he's gonna be waking up. His whole long, shiny hair is gonna be all greasy from the sweat of those nightmares. Inca Action, shout out to Inca Action, says, all hail Willem Haney. And he puts a turd there. All right. Langsberg says that low guard against Dubois hadn't worked. Ben's fighters couldn't deal with Dubois in the clinch, and they didn't even have a plan for his jab. Well, that's the other thing is, I was thinking about that, about Wardley, how he couldn't defend from a jab. And we'd seen those vulnerabilities against Hooney and against Joseph Parker. Some people were blaming, myself included, blamed Ben Davidson for being unable to correct that. But as I said, Wardley is a bit of a weird case because he started boxing very late in his life, and he's been getting by on power and some athleticism for the most part, natural ability. So maybe there's no coach out there that can actually fix him. But you're right, though. I mean, that it is still a valid criticism. Like they couldn't at least fix some of that. They couldn't get him a guard. I mean, I don't get it. Dan the Mail says he couldn't teach DD to defend against Usyk's jab. El Mao, this guy is a low IQ He's talking about Don Charles. Yeah, Don Charles, that's another thing about Dubois. Like, he's younger than Wardley, I think. So there's no excuse for him not to be able to fix some of the things that he's got going on. Again, Dubois has no guard. And we saw that almost cost him the fight against Wardley in the first round. And then in the third round, when he got dropped the second time. This guy's got no guard. How do you not have a guard? It's amazing to me. It's more of a European type of fencing style, where the right hand pinned to the, or right hand more to the back, and then they overextend that lead hand. But he's got, but even
I don't know what kind of God you believe in, BDA.
No,
my God doesn't need a guard.
No, you misunderstood. I said guard, not God. That's the other thing when he got confused, right? When he said, Usyk was talking about Jesus. I believe in Jesus.
I'm jealous of you?
What do you mean I'm jealous? Jealous of what? Why have I been jealous? Jeez, Luis, he really got angry about that one. He was really super pissed off against Usyk. What else we got here? Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Real helps out. Oh, okay. So we don't have that many fights, interesting fights coming. I mean, we don't have mega fights coming up. And I think the biggest fight so far that people are looking forward to is Zayas versus Ennis, and that's all the way up in June. So over a month, that fight. But it's still a very interesting fight, perhaps the most interesting fight. And here's Richard Torres over at Fight Hub talking about what he thinks about the fight, and he's actually got a bit of an interesting take on it. Check this out.
I think Xander's going to win. I think people are underestimating Xander so much. It's insane to me. Like, people are all like, oh, like, Xander's not ready for boots. This isn't, Boots is gonna wash him out. Boots is gonna do this. Boots is gonna do that. Xander's a world champ, a multiple belt world champ, and he's showcased who he is multiple time and time again. I think people are just like washing him out or like overlooking him because he's so young. But I'm giving it to Xander. I think Xander's his boxing ability, his ring IQ, his presence, his just stature. I think it's gonna be tough for anybody to beat him. And so I'm excited for this fight. And I think it's gonna be a great fight. I think it's gonna be a competitive fight. But my money's on Xander.
So there you have. That's Richard Torres, and he's picking Xander Zayas to beat Jaron Ennis. Sobers, is this some sort of a top rank? Is he staying on code because they're both with top rank, and he has to go with the top rank guy? What do you think?
I mean, if he is, good job. But if he's just being on, but I think he's making good points. I think everyone's taking this fight like it's a foregone conclusion that Jaron Ennis is going to beat him, and I'm like, what do you see so obvious about this that you're giving it to Jaron Ennis by landslide? Because he's fighting someone a little bit younger than him. So what? That means someone younger and hungrier than him? That could be a bad thing. You know, someone's younger than you and he's bigger than you. Yes, he has a chip on his shoulder. He has something he wants to prove. And now you're the favorite and you're overlooking him. He's, the kind of confidence that I see from Jaron Ennis. It's the kind of stuff that I see that he's been reading a lot of the Twitter comments. He's letting these people pump his head up. They're putting like a battery in his back, sending him out there. I've seen Jaron Ennis struggle against lesser fighters, against guys where before the main event comes on, he's in the back, where they do the warm up. Mm-hmm. He's looking at the camera. He says knockout incoming. He's looking at the camera like, what am I doing here? This is a waste of time. And then he gets in there and he has the hardest night of his life. And I'm talking about the fight with Karen Chukedzian, and then they even give him a rematch. And this is what they do in boxing, right? When the A side doesn't win, they make you do the rematch. They give him a redo. So if you're that nice, you have to do it twice, right? Just like Povetkin had to fight Dillian White 2 times because he wasn't supposed to knock him out that first time. Or you got to do it twice, and then Dillian White beats him. So when Jaron Ennis got that second chance to get Chukedzian, he was supposed to make it right and knock him out. He couldn't even do that. So I don't have any. I don't see where all this overconfidence is for Jaron Ennis that he's just going to beat Zayas. I have Zayas. He's going to put a hurting on him.
Yeah, that's a good point. The A-sides, they tend to get like, hey, Keyshawn Davis tomorrow, he's getting another shot at the Hero Alvarez. They give you that shot, that shot. Make it nice, make it right. Make it wet, make it tight. That's what they want. And you know what? With the Keyshawn Davis Jaron Ennis versus Zayas, I can see it. Yeah, I'm very indecisive when I look at a fight very closely, and then I start imagining all sorts of scenarios. And then usually I'll pick 2 scenarios that are the most likely, and I'm very hesitant to pick a guy to win. So in this one, I can see Zayas outboxing Jaron Ennis. But one thing that I've heard from Jaron Ennis, or about his training camps and all that, is that that's what he does in sparring. He'll take flush shots, but it'll keep coming. And it's interesting with Ennis is he doesn't have a guard either, and he's not the greatest at cutting the ring off and so on. But what he will do is he will advance, and when his opponents punch, he will counter pretty quickly. So that is pressure. That's mental pressure, that's physical pressure, and that's how he can wear opponents down. And I suspect that's, from what I've heard, that's what he does in sparring. Now, he couldn't do it to Canelo, apparently, because, he was sparring a guy about the same size as him. Maybe, I don't know, Jaron Ennis looked a little bit bigger in that photograph, but the point is, he was fighting, Canelo's an iceberg in there. You can't really push him. The only guy who's managed to push him back in a professional fight and beat him, because I thought he beat him, most people did, was Golovkin. And that's another iceberg in there. Almost everyone else that beats Canelo, they have to do it by moving or, using their feet to offset him. And so Jaron Ennis, I'm not surprised he couldn't do that to Canelo in sparring, but nevertheless, he's done it to everybody else, for the most part. And so maybe that's what he's banking on against Zayas, that he's going to be able to take Zayas' power. He's going to put mental pressure on him with those counters of his, and the fact that he keeps on coming, and probably wear the stronger guy down. It's not outside the realm of possibility. Look what Benavidez did to the supposedly bigger guy in Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. Most of us picked Benavidez or expected Benavidez to do it, but nobody expected to really stop the guy. The guy, Ramirez couldn't handle the power. So is it going to be the similar thing with Zayas? But on the other hand, when you got a guy who's hittable like Jaron Ennis, if you can hit him and stay away from his power just long enough to make it the distance, I mean, what I'm saying is Zayas, and this is what I hate too, by the way, Zayas clinches. He did a lot of clinching against Perez. And they warned him and they warned him and they never took a point away because, like Sol was saying, certain A-side advantages do factor in. So it depends here. Who is the A-side? Which side? You know, it's you got Eddie Hearn and you got the other side, Top Rank. Who's going to cajole their way into saying, you know what, ref, allow this, or maybe you should let my fighter do this or that. I don't know. I don't know if that's how they do it. But if they allow Zayas to clinch, it's going to be difficult for Jaron Ennis in there to win a decision. I'm not saying he's not going to win, but I'm saying is that clinching, we've seen it before. We see how effective it can be for guys like Haney. Punch, clinch, punch, clinch. You're preventing the other guy from countering you because you're wrapping your arms around him. You're wrestling with him.
All I know is Zayas clinches and jabs his way to victory. We better hear that Sweet Science crowd praising him and not complaining about how he didn't want to fight.
Well, that's the thing. You know, if that happens, they're gonna go immediately. Gonna go. How come no one's complaining? Where are all these people that always complain about clinching? Blah blah. No, you can't say that after the fight and come to us for help. Because I hate the clinching no matter who does it. But are you gonna come to me and say, if you're gonna ask that question, you better be asking it beforehand. You know what I mean? But these people, a lot of these people, they're not smart enough to do that. They pick a guy in their head, and that's it. That's reality for them. It's already set in stone. So when the fight doesn't go as planned, that's why you hear excuses from a lot of these people. But what happened with it? How come people ain't keeping the same energy? It's like, well, which one is it? Is clinching illegal or not? I want to hear that right now. I don't want to hear that after the fight. I don't want to hear it during the fight as when Zayas if Zayas starts beating Ennis and decisions him and does so, but with the help of clinches. I don't want to hear it during the fight or after the fight. I want to hear it beforehand. Let's set it on stone right now. Let's set the rules. Let's recognize the rules. Clinching is illegal, yes or no? That's what I want to hear, but I don't know. I don't know if people are willing to have that conversation. Then that some of the other dumb arguments, or not even arguments, it's part of boxing. Yeah, no shit. Hitting below the belt is part of boxing. To headbutting is part of boxing. So if a fight ends and if a guy's allowed to headbutt and you complain to me, can I say that? Just like, well, it's part of boxing. No, it makes no sense. You're just telling me that that something exists. You're not telling me why it should exist. It's in the rules. You're not allowed to headbutt. You're not allowed to elbow. You're not allowed to clinch. It's in the WBC rules, the WBC guidelines, WBA guidelines, IBA guidelines, the Association of Boxing Commissions. That's my pet peeve, man. When people start talking about, well, it's part of boxing history. Muhammad Ali did it. Okay, so in Muhammad Ali stab somebody in the ring, would that be allowed? Because that's the whole argument. Then people will go, no, well, that's stabbing somebody is different. Now you're giving me context. Then now you're giving me. So let's go with it. Let's actually provide an argument, not just these fucking fallacies. Well, if fighter A did it, then everyone else is allowed to do it. That's a fallacy. Anyway, I'm getting worked up here. I don't know why you do that to me, Solvers. I don't know why you make me angry bringing up these subjects. But anyway, I'm gonna blame Solvers for that. Why not?
Well, I don't know who made you the god of boxing. It's part of the sport.
Speaking of Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis and fighters, the fans of those guys are really going at it on Twitter. The Haney fans are going at it with the Tank fans. The Haney fans are going at it with Shakur Stevenson fans. They're all going at it with each other. I just wanted to show you this tweet here of this dude who's a renowned Tank Davis fan on Twitter, and he said something interesting here. He said, Shakur Stevenson docked Tank right before I went to jail. I went thinking I was going to come home to him taking an L. Just for this N-word to duck and run to matchroom after y'all let him. I hate this boxing shit. So I like how he just casually threw it like, hey, right before I went to jail, I thought that I was going to come back and see that the fight had actually happened. Maybe that's why they're Tank Davis fans. Maybe they're
crazy. It's crazy, right? Imagine you're like strung out. They have you in a holding cell. You're going through withdrawals. Sweating out all the heroin and alcohol. And all you're thinking about is, yes, finally, my boy, my man, Gervonta Davis is going to knock out Shakur Stevenson. It's going to happen. And after 2 months of sitting in the shoe, you come out and this fight still ain't happened. And that's all you've been thinking about for 2 months. 2 months, BDA.
2 months, man. I mean, when he pulled out the tissues, at night when it was lights out and he had to, relieve himself. That's what he was thinking of. Tank Davis beating up Shakur Stevenson.
Beating off? No, beating up.
It's always I keep saying it's a morning show. It's PG, and yet you want to turn it into fucking the open lines. So that's what's going on there with Tank Davis fans. Maybe that's why some of them relate to Tank Davis because he's been inside. He's seen a little action too. Richards and Hitchins became a joke on Twitter. Every time he tweets now, people got to bring up the fact that he docked Duarte, and he sort of got himself a little bit of a lifeline when Duarte looked bad against Fierro. We didn't even talk about that fight, by the way. We didn't even have time afterwards. But so then he was trying to see, y'all see, I would have done that, and then people wouldn't let him off the hook. People
I
would
have done that.
Yeah, I would have done. I would have made it look easy, and then people didn't let him off the hook, man. People were saying like, "Then why'd you duck him?" So anyway, it's open season on Richards and Hitchins. This is O'Shaquie Foster talking about, O'Shaquie Foster's had some word of words against Raymond Ford, and yet he's still taking the time out to crap on Hitchins. Check out what he had to say about Richards and Hitchins' reputation as a guy who is not the most courageous fella out there.
What do you make of? You called them the Avengers. What do you make of? All the excellent work he is getting in the gym with Richardson, Hitchins, and Shakur heading into this fight.
By the way, that's Sean Zero. How does he know it's excellent work that he's getting? That's an assumption.
I didn't call it the Avengers. I said it. Look, they act like they act like they the Avengers. They act like they this and that. But I don't look at it nothing. Hitchison scary as hell. I've been knowing that. Like, I've been knowing that for years. Like, that's been the word in boxing.
By the way, he said Hitchins is scary as hell. And it took me a while to realize, what is he? Because, nowadays, grammar out the window. People call me a grammar cop, the grammar police. Oh, why are you so a grammar Nazi? But I'm sorry, man. I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to slack off and not focus on grammar and all that. But then if that would have happened, you wouldn't understand half of what I'm saying right now. Even though it's already hard to understand.
Scary, BDA. It's because they're scared. You're acting scary.
That's exactly it, right. So apparently when somebody's scary as hell, that means in the modern vernacular, that means that the guy is scared. So that's what he's saying about Richards and Hitchins. Hitchins is known as being a scaredy cat.
This and that. But I don't look at it nothing. Hitchison scary as hell. I've been knowing that. Like, I've been knowing that for years. Like, that's been the word in boxing. Like, they had to pump him up for certain sparring sessions, woo-de-woo. And he know what I'm talking about. I ain't got to go say who he is sparring woo-de-woo. But they had to put a key in his back to go spar and stuff like that. He got a heart problem. He got a heart problem. Not a physical heart problem. He just ain't got no heart. You see what he did with the one.
And that's coming from O'Shaquie Foster. A guy who's like a light version of Shakur Stevenson, Shakur Light. And he's saying that. Now, I don't put too much stock on the sparring sessions type of stuff because the other day, I think I played a clip of a guy from Tank Davis's team confronted Shakur Stevenson. Like, what happened in the sparring session? And Shakur's like, what do you mean? And the guy's like, what happened? What happened when you had to pull out? Because of a teeth, you said you had a chipped molar or something. And then Shakur was like, why'd you do that? So they started getting into it. They actually had a debate about what happened in sparring. And I remember thinking, okay, so let's say Shakur Stevenson did pull out of the sparring session because of a chipped tooth or that he claimed he had. So what? Does that mean Tank Davis beats him in a real boxing bout? It's like, it makes no sense. Maybe the guy did have a chipped tooth and that's why he had to leave.
That's exactly what it means, Gideon.
Well, there you go. Yeah. That's the way some people see it. But I mean, it's
just like how Duarte not looking the best against Fierro means that Hitchins also beat him.
Exactly. Well, apparently,
even though Fierro lost, Hitchins still would have won.
There you go.
No whoop-de-whoop.
Whoop-de-doo, ski you. And by the way, shout out to Recognize in the chat. Recognize the Matrix. He says, if you love Haney clinching, you should love Xander Zayas. Yeah, there you go. If you love Haney's style, it's Xander Zayas is right up there with that. He doesn't do it as often, by the way, as Haney does. I mean, he did against Perez. Against Barao, I was surprised he didn't do it as much with the clinching. It was actually a cleaner fight. Maybe that's because Barao didn't allow him to clinch. I don't know. Or maybe Sanders didn't feel the need to because Barao was a difference. I mean, Perez has a more awkward style where he'll lead with hooks and uppercuts. And maybe that threw Xander Zayas off. and maybe that's why he felt that he had to clinch. I don't know, but yeah, it's true though. If you like Haney's style, then you should love Xander's style against Perez. What else we have here? So, okay, so that's Oshaki Foster saying that Hitchins is a scaredy cat. And then Richardson Hitchins replied by saying, check this out. He said, I got way more heart than this alien in the face. So, yeah, because Oshaki Foster, it's true. He's an unusual looking guy. But apparently he's saying that, you know.
I've compared him to an ant. I've also heard him compared to a roach.
Okay, well, I think an ant is a little bit more acceptable than calling him a cockroach. Then you had more people on Twitter going at Hitchins. Well, Hitchins said that he says, I got way more heart than Oshaki Foster. And then Oshaki Foster says, LOL, now you don't see me on here talking about how you smell like straight doo-doo, and everybody around you be talking about it. Like I said, you scary with no heart. You're a grown-ass man commenting on how another man look. That's female. We know you soft as hell, my G. Chill. That to me, the revelation was that he's saying, how come nobody's talking about the fact that you smell like crap? Like apparently that's the thing about Hitchins, that people say that he walks around smelling like he took a in his pants.
I believe it too. That's so funny, bro.
But why would he smell like, I don't know. And then somebody said something, when he said that, I recall that Cambosos, the build-up to the Cambosos fight, and somebody brought it up. Somebody says, hey, Cambosos said his breath smelled like straight dog when they were doing the face-off. Remember that? I don't have the clip here with me.
He did say that.
Or maybe I can find it. Hold on. I think maybe I can.
He thought it was his breath. It was just smelling him. Just smelling his hair.
He said, remember he called him Stinky Breath afterwards in the last press conference. He goes, I'm gonna beat up Stinky Breath over here. He kept calling him Stinky Breath, and
yo, that's funny.
Man,
Imagine BDA. That's how you hear about everyone thinks you stink and shit. Some guy they don't like.
They should, man. They should start turning that into it. But I'm surprised that. Okay, it's one thing for Cambosos to say it, but then for Hitchins to say that that's the rumor. Not only that he has bad breath, but all around he smells like crap. Maybe he's taking baths in he's doing the Keyshawn.
Who was that taking the bath in the shit water earlier?
Keyshawn Davis, yeah, he's taking the Keyshawn Davis baths, yeah.
So maybe Hitchins is doing the same thing. Maybe they all do the same thing. They think it's like a strategy.
Yeah.
Maybe I think Timothy Bradley did something similar, right? He said he wouldn't shower before fights for like a week or two. So you know, these athletes, man, they're kind of gross. They're not, not scholars.
Exactly. And then Richardson Hitchins was then, yeah, so he was bragging. I became, that's how he wrote it. I became an Olympian. Oh, by the way, I hope it's autocorrect that's screwing everything up because I became an Olympian and the world. What is? They're not even sentences. Anyway, I became.
I guarantee it's not autocorrect.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
That's them like fighting the autocorrect. They're trying to correct. Like, no, that's not what I meant.
That's exactly how he wanted to come across. I became an Olympian and a world champion. TF, you mean? You been hearing I'm scary. Where the you know me from? I never even ever spoke on that. See, little ugly. I mean, I'm telling you, man. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, BDA.
Yes.
Notice how he didn't deny the stank ass allegations.
Oh.
He addressed everything with the smell. I know I stink like shit.
So what? So what? Yeah. So what you gonna do about it?
That's not even worth addressing. So what?
Yo, if I'm Hitchins' next opponent, in the next press conference, I bring a bag full of hygiene products. Soap, shampoo, scrubber, whatever, man. Just really try to get under that stinky Richardson Hitchins skin. Because I'm telling you, you want to get him mad. You want to get him to fight angry. That's what you want from a guy like that. You don't want him fighting, taking his time and all that, boxing from afar. You don't want to give him time either. You want to really go in there. And
you know how they tell you not to wear like dark colors like black in the sun when it's out?
Mm-hmm.
They say the dark colors like trap heat.
Right.
Okay, well imagine that you're wearing a skin suit, like a black shirt. Imagine all that heat he's trapping.
Ah, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, now you understand why he stinks like shit.
Ah, I don't understand. I really hope it's just a rumor that Hitchins stinks, man. Because I mean, I you know what? I'm gonna rewatch interviews that people do with him, and I'm gonna see if they're holding their noses or anything, or if I hear gagging, like people can't stand being near him, then we'll know that.
Imagine you start looking through interviews, BDA, and then like you just like notice that every time someone like they finish the interview, the interviewer they make like a crazy face, but like you feel like they finish holding their breath and shit.
Yeah, you look at the interview. They
you start noticing that with all of them.
you see that they're interviewing Hitchins, and then they pan over to the interviewer, and he's turning purple because he's holding his breath. Then you'll know there's a problem. Yeah.
Like,
yeah. the guy's passing out. Hey, you know what, man? I think I saw a photograph of Hitchins one time, and he had like brown stinky waves coming out of him. You remember, like in Charlie Brown, there was that character who stunk.
No, Pigpen.
Pink Pants? What was it called?
Pigpen.
Pig Pants.
No, Pigpen. Like he lived in.
Oh,
like,
Pigpen. Pigpen. Yeah. Okay. I got you. Yeah, that's Richard Hitchins there, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen. Moving on from this is disturbing. Naoya Inoue's father, Shingo Inoue, saying he doesn't believe in overstaying your welcome in boxing, and he's saying that his son Naoya should retire. He's saying, I don't know, I don't see the point in him staying around much longer. I want him out. And it makes sense because Inoue has already started talking retirement a little bit. He said he has until 34, I think he said, or something like that. And then they said that he's going to be slowing down the schedule. Because if you recall, last year he fought 4 times, which for a tough fighter is quite an active schedule. And at his age, he's not 20-something anymore. So at 30, how old is he? 32, 31? So yeah, so they're trying to maybe get him to slow down a little bit.
Spring chicken.
He's no spring pigeon. Did you say spring pigeon?
Yeah.
There you go. Like, shout out to the pigeon meister right there. Yeah, but he's no spring chicken anymore. So maybe fighting that often. And he's been going the distance too, more than ever now. When the distance is like Madaliev against Picasso. And then this year he went the distance against Nakatani. So it's a lot of rounds. It's a lot of rounds to be banking at his age. So maybe he's going to take a page out of the Crawford Usyk book and just fight once a year. Hopefully not, man, because I enjoy watching Inoue fight. But after everything he's done, yeah, maybe he does deserve to slow down the schedule a little bit.
Well, to fight 4 times in a year and to be at the top of the pound-for-pound list, that's pretty unheard of. Canelo was probably the most active champion when he was in his heyday, in his prime or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he was only fighting 3 times a year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean...
We thought that was a lot. We were like, oh, this guy's fighting 3 times a year, everybody.
Yeah, 4 times a year, man. That's really... He's making a lot of money doing that, man. That's for sure. Especially when he fights in Japan. Ooh.
But, I mean, we're not really going to know what he's about until he fights in the USA.
That's right. Again, yeah. Against Tang Davis. And it's not going to be a 135. It's going to be a 140 pounds. Because,
It's going to be a 140, yeah.
Those are the standards we get for an Inoue. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Okay, so I finally wanted to get to what you were talking about earlier. Because I wanted to save it for last year. But Tim Bradley came out, and this is what I've said about Tim Bradley. He comes out with some takes that I completely disagree with, but then he'll come out with some takes that I completely agree with. And I go, yeah, finally someone's saying it. Finally, someone's bringing the heat. This is what Tim Bradley had to say about, because he's got a show now on YouTube. And he used to just be recording in his car. Now I think he heard the criticism, and he's actually said he has a setup now, like a little studio. Or with a background and everything. So check out what he had to say about Keyshawn Davis, because again, Keyshawn Davis is fighting tomorrow. We also got Hrgovic versus David Allen earlier on the zone. And today we have Karen Chukdazian taking on Paddy, what's his name? I forget the guy's name. So full weekend of boxing here. But anyway, check out what Tim Bradley had to say about Keyshawn Davis and his relationship with Shakur Stevenson.
You can't be complaining over no damn spoiled milk because you ain't got no dance partners. That go for Shakur. That go for all these guys. Shakur, Keyshawn, whoever else. There's dance partners out there, man, but you got to be willing to dance with them and take that damn risk. They saying that you the best. You saying you the best. You the best. I want to fight this guy. Well, those guys don't want to fight you. Now you got to fight somebody else, or you can fight each other. Oh, Tim, don't go there. Don't go there. Key, Shakur getting all your opponents, bro. You second fiddle, straight up. You are second fiddle to Shakur. Shakur is daddy, you son.
Oh, first of all, I like this Tim Bradley in the studio. When he's in the car, he gets a little bit, we've talked about it before. He starts sounding like Bill Cosby. The more he gets agitated. Here in his studio, I mean, he's probably got his kids in the next room or something. His wife he probably worked out a deal where he had to beg his wife to let him build like a little man cave so he can do his podcast. And they said, just as long as you keep your voice down. So I think that's why he's being a little bit more reserved. But like, listen, Tim Bradley hitting the nail on the head there, just the way he used to beat up on some opponents, beating him up over the head. It's true. These guys that complain, there's no opponents out there. Man, 140 pounds right now, 135, 140, and 147. There's plenty of opponents right there. And the reason why I mentioned those three weight classes is because a lot of 135 pounders are pretty much welterweights, hiding down at 135. Same thing with 40 pounders and 47 pounders. So they can all fight each other, most of these dudes. Oh, there's no opponents for me. Nobody wants to fight me. Okay, if that's true, fight each other. And it's true. We've been saying that for Sobers, how long have we been saying that? Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis. And that the question then becomes, who is manipulating whom in this instance? I'm of the opinion that it's Shakur Stevenson who's manipulating the gullible Keyshawn Davis. Again,
look,
excuse me?
Earlier I said I called Shakur a man's man, and I was calling him the bottom.
Oh.
But if you listen to the way Timothy Bradley's saying it, he's saying that Shakur's the daddy. Keyshawn's the twink, right? He's the son. He's the lesser of the two, the student, right?
But yeah, well, that's what. So what do you think?
Honestly, I think that Shakur. This is what I think it is, BD. Now that I think about it, now that I'm really giving it my attention, I think that Keyshawn Davis probably could whoop Shakur Stevenson's ass, and he probably has done this in the gym. But him also having the brain the size of an acorn, or like I don't see it the size of an acorn, but like there's like a dent in it. He was dropped on his head as a kid, and that's why he's a little thrown off. That's why he'll say that crazy shit like, what if I jump off this bridge? What if I jump off this garage? What if I jump off this curb? You know what I mean? So
the low impulse control, yeah.
Chris Stevenson gets in his ear, and he's like, yeah, I love you, bro. I love you, bro. You know what I mean? When we lay together, it's not in lust, it's in knowledge. So this is why me and you can never fight, because we're attached in a way that no one else could ever be. I think Shakur Stevenson is in his head, and he's telling them that they can never fight. Although I think that Keyshawn Davis could probably beat him. He's bigger than him. He hits harder than him. The skill level is around the same. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I think you're onto something. I think Shakur Stevenson's the guy who's manipulating him. According to reports, Keyshawn Davis gets the best of Shakur Stevenson in sparring. Tito Mercado said that's what Shakur Stevenson does. He spars everybody because it's his way of knowing who he'll pick and choose to fight. And apparently the rumor is, and again, it's just a rumor, like I said earlier, it's just sparring. Just because you get the best of somebody in sparring doesn't necessarily mean you beat him in a real bout. But I mean, you got to wonder, why is he so obsessed with? And then I was reading some of the comments and people about what Bradley said, and some people were saying, "Man, these guys came up in the trenches." They're trying to paint the people who want to see them fight each other as if they're evil, as if they want to destroy a friendship. And I'm thinking, I agree with Killer Plant. There's no such thing as friendship.
They weren't in the trenches.
There's no such thing as friendship in boxing. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. And the trenches, what does that mean? I mean, I don't know. To me, that's an insult to veterans who actually fought in trenches. So these guys, they fought in the amateurs. They didn't go to war together. They might be friends. But that's the other thing. You're friends. Okay, so you can't fight.
They shared a room together at the Motel 6. And they were recording themselves singing a song together shirtless. Is that what they mean by the trenches? Like what him and Berlanga were doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
are those the trenches? What the fuck?
I think the only positive from that the video there with Shakur Stevenson and Berlanga singing in the room was that Hitchins wasn't there. Because if Hitchins would have been there, they put, imagine being locked in a little small room with that guy.
I was stink that shit up.
Exactly, yeah, with the shitty bathwater. Yeah, imagine that. You got Hitchins in your room, then you go to the bathroom and you see Keyshawn Davis lying in a pool of shitty water. It's like, get me out of here, please, man. But I wanted to say that, yeah, so some people are trying to make it out to be like, oh, those guys can't fight each other. Think about it this way. Boxing is combat sport, so it's distinct from all the other sports because you're actually doing damage to your opponent via punching. However, it's still a sport. It's a contest. How come these guys can't put their differences aside for 12 rounds and fight each other and give the fans what they want? That's when they start coming up with these excuses of we're friends, we could never do that. Again, I said that ad nauseum. Plenty of friends have fought each other before and remained friends thereafter. Somebody brought that up in the chat here. I forget who it was. Mayweather and Zab Judah were friends. Then they became enemies for a while. They fought each other. Then they ended up becoming friends again. Helping each other. Zab Judah actually helped Mayweather out for sparring after, I think it was a Pacquiao fight. So yeah, I mean, it's if those two can put aside, and those guys were volatile people, you telling me Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson can't do it? Recognize the Matrix says, if Jay Prince wants Shakur to fight Keyshawn Davis, they will fight. The question will be when. Exactly. Jay Prince, anyway, I don't want to get into the whole Jay Prince thing because that's too long. I mean, we're running out of time here. But, so that's what Tim Bradley said. Tim Bradley said that as long as Keyshawn Davis doesn't fight Shakur Stevenson, he will remain second fiddle and the son to Shakur's daddy. That's what he's saying.
And you see who pipes up about it, BDA. It's not Keyshawn Davis.
No,
it's the man. It's Shakur Stevenson.
The top.
And it's why I lost all respect for Timothy Bradley yet again. I was just telling Keyshawn in bed the other night. We never got a fight, baby. We never got a fight.
Shakur Stevenson came back and said, Tim lost all respect from me again. By the way, when people are saying, when was the first time? As far as I remember, by the way, Bucho did a very good video. Everybody should go check it out on our channel, Shakur Stevenson Exposed, because people for years, people have been saying, oh, how come people, every time you dislike or criticize Shakur Stevenson, people will accuse you of being a hater, jealous, racist. But there's plenty of reasons to dislike Shakur Stevenson's character. And Bucho outlined all of that in that video he did. And in that video, after Shakur, he put the part where Shakur Stevenson was getting a lot of criticism for the Hartunonian fight, which I didn't think he should deserve criticism for the Hartunonian fight. I mean, he tried at least to make it somewhat interesting in there. He just couldn't do it. It's not his style. But anyway, after the fight, he started complaining about ESPN, Top Rank. Top Rank was racist. They don't know how to handle Afro-Anglo fighters, blah, blah, blah. And then he said Timothy Bradley, he accused him of being racist too. He said, if I was white, Timothy Bradley would be saying I'm the greatest thing ever. Which makes no sense because Timothy Bradley just recently came out talking about Lomachenko, and he says that he feels Haney won that fight. Going against public opinion, which most of the people think that Lomachenko won that fight. If Timothy Bradley really was obsessed with whiteness and he was racist or something against his own skin color, why would he say that Haney beat Lomachenko? So anyway, it's completely nonsensical for Shakur Stevenson. So I think that's what I just wanted to give some context about when he says I respect for that guy again. Then he says this is mad lame. This mad lame. He says Keyshawn, my brother. None of that weird SU people make it. Fans control y'all opinion. I'm too strong-minded to be influenced. It's nothing you can say to me to ever make me go against him. Yo. So, Solbers, you hit on something there about how Shakur Stevenson is the one who manipulates Keyshawn Davis, probably, allegedly. We got to say that.
I'm too strong-minded.
Exactly. There you go. See, we're on the same mindset.
I was just telling him in bed.
Okay, you gotta stop saying that, man. No, but see, that's interesting that you caught on to that too when he says, I'm too strong-minded. He's telling you right off the bat, I got a strong mind. I manipulate people. I get him to do what I want. And when that doesn't happen, he starts having meltdowns like the one we saw after the Little Santos fight, the Hartunionian fight right now. Very interesting. Very interesting. I would suggest people look into dominant personalities when it comes to criminal enterprises, because you will see that oftentimes when there's people that are serial killers or whatever, it was a horrible case, by the way, the toolbox killers. I forget where it was. I think it was in California or something. These dudes would kidnap, rape, and murder women inside a van, I think.
Talking about the Chicago Ripper crew.
Well, that's a different one. That was the Chicago Ripper crew, but there were the toolbox killers. There were two guys, and apparently in that one too, there was one. They were both sickos, but there was one
guy. You said they were from Canada, right?
What? I don't know if they were they from Canada? I don't remember. I think they
yeah, and I heard they had like Frenchish, Canadian, hard to place accents.
Come on. No. Now you go. Now I'm going to kick you out.
One of the survivors, they distinctly said that they just described their accent being like they didn't know where they were from.
All right. But you sick bastard. But anyway, those guys. What I'm trying to get at is one of them. They're both sick bastards. They both have those impulses. But there's one guy who pulls the trigger on it and says, "Hey, how about what if we?" You know what I mean? He's the one that actually takes the plunge. And the other guy follows. And I think that's what happens with Shakur Stevenson. He's the guy that puts all those ideas in Keyshawn Davis's mind. He's the one that says, no, it ain't gay. If we close our eyes, that type of stuff. So I think that's what's going on there a little bit with Shakur Stevenson, just like you said. And by the way, that's all never sobers. That's what he's saying. I'm not saying all that other stuff. But it makes sense, by the way. Wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about here. This is people defending Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis not fighting each other, which I don't know why you would want to do that, but so here's some comments here. Oh, and then Shakur Stevenson said this, and y'all missing the point that daddy's son S is disrespectful. Now I start slapping motherfuckers behind them. Okay, so I know that he's saying that he felt disrespected by the daddy's son comment and that people would get slapped for that in real life. So right off the bat, Shakur Stevenson has to try to go into tough guy mode again. We've only ever seen him beating up on somebody, and it was a woman on video. That's the only time I've ever seen him actually do anything of that sort outside the ring. It wasn't to a guy. Actually, no, he did try to beat up. No, he did hit a guy, and he couldn't even drop him. Non-trained guy in there, out-of-shape guy. Couldn't even drop him. So I don't know why he would try to go at Tim Bradley in the streets. And then in the comment section, somebody goes, "We know who you're not going to slap." Talking about Keyshawn Davis, probably. Somebody goes, yeah.
I disagree. He's probably going to slap his ass later on.
Slap his ass. Excuse me. Somebody else said, "You acting like Keyshawn is your blood brother. If he was your blood brother, you would have a case, but he ain't. Stop taking that dog's spotlight." Yeah, so see, people are accusing him of taking away Keyshawn Davis' facts. There you go. This is not boxing. You cannot street fight. We've seen it. They slam you on your ass, and then what? Somebody says there's nothing more disrespectful than your bitch style of fighting. So see, people are going at him, man. On they're not even agreeing with him. Somebody says you've probably had countless opportunities to do that and haven't done. You might as well settle in the ring. You don't have anything lined up anyway. Hopefully you keep your word and fight him if he beats Ray. Pump faking after all that politicking would be nasty work. Somebody says, "Bro, dead ass, you are daddy and son. You're literally acting like y'all came out of the gutter with each other. Y'all didn't. Y'all should be willing to fight, not saying we never fighting, this is my brother, while you continue to get all the fights that would turn Key into a superstar." Somebody else says, "What history do you have of slapping anyone? You fight a complete opposite of how you talk." Somebody says, "That's shut the up with that gangster talk is corny. And maybe the Schofields were right about what they saying happened to them if that's how you're talking." Ooh, so that's true. You want to be a gangster? Well, now you're going to get a gangster reputation because you're hanging out.
I would love for all that to be true and for Food TV to be rectified and all that shit he was, saying, because he was saying the whole thing was true. They poisoned him. Stevenson was scared. He was telegraphing his fear, how he was being told by his camp he should never take it to fight. And yeah, I would love for that to be true, bro. And with the shit that happened with Teofimo, how he kind of just didn't show up for that fight against Kurt Stevenson and some of the things he said before the fight, I am suspicious, bro.
So am I. Because if it's one situation, okay, but it's been multiple situations surrounding Jay Prince. So everyone's always talking about Daniel Kinahan, and meanwhile you got Jay Prince still in the business and barely anybody bats an eyelash. I think maybe because Kinahan wasn't in the U.S., so they felt comfortable talking about him. But when it comes to Jay Prince, like all of a sudden they start getting nervous. I don't know. I've never really seen any American reporter really go in depth about that. And look at these comments; they're really excoriating. Shakur Stevenson, "Oh my God, You ain't gonna slap shit. You know there's dudes in real life that will you up. All that box works in certain situations. To a street that know how to throw hands will put your little on your back. Yeah, why? Shakur Stevenson thinks that because he's a slippery boxer in the ring, he's gonna be able to do that in a street fight. If he gets taken down, if he gets his legs kicked from under him, then what? Is he gonna
clinch?
Is he gonna bite you with those veneers of his now? I mean, I don't know. Somebody says the way you be sunning Keyshawn Davis, that daddy something is legit. Stop little boying the homie. Key is just loyal to check you on that shit, but he gotta see it. It's gonna come out. I remember I asked Thunderdome that years ago. I said, well, not years ago, but I think about 2 years ago. I said, do you think eventually they are gonna fight?
Years ago.
I think it was 2 years ago, or I forget when it was, but the last time he hasn't been around. But anyway, the point is, I said, are these guys ever gonna fight? Because I think they're gonna have a fallout at some point. They're two nut jobs, two head cases. They're gonna end up, and he said he didn't see it happening. He said one of those guys would lose before that even happens. Two different people, rather. And I said, I don't know, but now more people are starting to see it. That yeah, maybe these guys they're gonna have a fallout, and then they're gonna fight.
I would hope so. I always have to wait for them to break up, and then it'll be a lover's quarrel. It'll probably be more intense, and they actually might try to kill each other then. It'll become like domestic violence kind of thing. So I'm here for that.
All right. Solvers is really driving home that point there about those two guys lying in sin. Another person says, "Bro, you still talking about this
knowledge?
There you go.
Lust.
There. Oh, you know. Okay.
Well, that's what Stevenson tells him anyway.
That's what he whispers to him before they do it. Somebody says, "Bro, you still talking about this BS on social media? He struck a nerve with words. You gotta grow up, mine." Yeah, man. I mean, that's. So people are just really lambasting him on social media. That's the thing about Shakur Stevenson. He talks so much crap about I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to put belt to ass, and then he shows up and it's 12-round decision. Where was that? Remember when he told Teofimo Lopez Sr., you better not throw in the towel, and he said it with a straight face. And look what happened. Yeah, he decisioned Teofimo Lopez. He made it look easy.
Oh my gosh!
But I mean,
even afterwards, BDA, they're showing them replays of the fight with like on one of these podcasts. And he says about the fight, he goes, look, Teofimo was ready to go right there. He looked like he was ready to go right there. And it's like, why didn't you press him then? And that's how you're feeling. Like, he looked like he was ready to get knocked out right there. He said like 3 or 4 times, and like, bro, you didn't come forward in any of those cases.
I'm telling, he's deluded. If he really said that, I didn't know he said, by the way. I gotta watch that clip. If he's deluded, that's what That's what Bucho said in the video. One of the reasons people dislike him is he's deluded. He talks about how he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Remember he accused Hortunionian of running against him? You put your tracks on today, danger champ. It's like, why? Like, rewatch that fight. He didn't run. There were 2 moments in the fight that I can recall where he was moving a little bit.
What the hell he was talking about?
Oh, and then when he said, Kriegel asked me mostly negative questions after in the interview, and then you rewatch the interview, re-listen to it. There's no negative questions. He's actually trying to be nice to Shakur Stevenson. Trying to turn it around for his way, trying to paint it as Shakur Stevenson in a positive light, and his
questions were lustful. His questions were full of lust.
Exactly, he wanted it. Yeah. Now listen, man. Him, Crawford, and Clarissa Shields are all friends, and they all have the same mentality. They have a stick up their behind. They got a chip on their shoulders. They're never gonna. No matter how much credit people give him, it's never gonna be enough. And it's the same thing with Shakur Stevenson. He's always going to feel like he's being disrespected, even when the entire media bent over for Terence Crawford after he beat Canelo. And this guy still had the goal to go on a podcast and said that no matter what he did, he was never going to get any credit. Like, is he insane? I'm telling you, there's a little bit of insanity going on in there with these fellas here, and with Clarissa Shields, who might as well be a fella. But yeah, man, that's. It's weird, man.
Well, it's a feeling of inadequacy within themselves, obviously.
Right.
It's something that they see in the mirror that they feel like is missing. When they say that they ain't never gonna give me credit, they ain't never gonna give me credit anyways. What he really means is, my mama never loved me anyway, so it don't matter.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? She never loved me, so they're never gonna love me. I never loved me, so it doesn't matter what I do. I'm still empty.
Sober's going deep. He's going Dr. Phil this morning. Shout out to everybody out there. Don't forget to hit the like. And finally, I just want to end it with this. This is another guy dismantling the whole brother thing in boxing, and it's Oscar De La Hoya of all people. Check this out.
Would have fought my brother, literally, if he was ranked number 2 in the world or had a title. The brotherhood in boxing, to me, is kind of like a cop-out, because if you want to be the best, you have to fight the best. That's the bottom line. I would have fought my brother, literally, if he was ranked number 2 in the world or had a title. I would have fought him. It's what you do.
And by the way, De La Hoya fought everybody.
That's kind of savage. That's kind of savage, bro. I wouldn't fight my little brother.
Exactly. Well, yeah, man. De La Hoya, he's looking. I think he's exaggerating a little bit, I suppose, for just to drive home the point. But De La Hoya's a guy.
I think he would have.
Yeah, maybe.
De La Hoya's kind of a savage.
And De La Hoya, by the way, he fought everybody. I mean, he might not have fought them at the right time, or he might have fought them at the time he wanted, but he fought them. People are gonna say, "Well, he didn't fight."
He fought Julio Cesar Chavez. Do you think he wanted to fight him? There's a lot of pressure on him in that fight. It was very divisive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe if he could have chose not to, make the Mexicans feel disrespected by that. Maybe he could have swerved by it, but he didn't. He didn't try to. They put this old legend on a chopping block, and he chopped his ass up. No mercy. So that's what you're supposed to do.
The fight game. You sign up when you're 5, 6, 7 years old, training through the amateurs and preparing your mind mentally and physically. When you get to the
boxing on a Sunday? Come on.
That's the bottom line. There's no excuses. Oh well, I know him from the amateurs, or he's my brother. No, you fight the very best.
Yeah, the only exception would be the Klitschko's and the Marcus brothers. The Marcus brothers weren't in the same division, but the Klitschko's, for example, they'd made a promise to their mother that they would never actually fight each other in a professional boxing bout. And it's true. If it's blood, it's blood. But if it's not, Abdullah Mason said the same thing. De La Hoya said the same thing. This guy's got to fight at some point. No two ways about it. We are the boxing fans, and what we want. I mean, if these guys want to get paid the big bucks, they got to fight each other, man. That's all I'm saying. The caffeine's wearing off, man. Oof, we gotta go. But let's see what people are saying in the chat before we do so. Earl Stevens says he would have fought his father. Recognize the Matrix says,
Oscar, yeah, he would have fought his dad to death.
There you go. Recognize says Oscar De La Hoya fought Shane and they came up together in the amateurs. Yeah. Again, but people are going to say, yeah, but they weren't hanging out. They were in the
trenches, BDA.
Exactly, yeah. Now, I know some people are going to say, yeah, but they weren't hanging out like Keyshawn Davis. Yeah. Think about why they're hanging out, by the way. Maybe it's because Shakur Stevenson pulled him into his circle because he didn't want to fight. You know what I mean? Like, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Come on, man. Me and Edgar gonna make some music videos, man. You should come join us. You don't need that. You need the shirt here. You don't need that shirt.
Blunt Effect says she's my brother. Haha. Shakira's adopted trans mother. I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, that's gonna be what they're gonna say later on, man. No, I can't fight him. He's my adopted trans father or whatever. Muhammad Amhar Bruce Lee says Clarissa is more man than Shakur. I have to agree with that a little bit there. Recognize says Shakur lives in his truth opposite of reality. Skullkid says Shakur gets a pass for ducking Crazy Keyshawn. Crazy Keyshawn. Yeah, that should be his nickname. Crazy Keyshawn. Crazy fucking Keyshawn. Earl Stevens says Shakur is acting scary. Notice you don't see Key saying all of this. Yeah, exactly. That's what Sober said too. Who's the guy that had to come up and go against Tim Bradley? Shakur Stevenson. Meanwhile, Keyshawn Davis is in the kitchen wearing the...
I've heard Keyshawn Davis say that it's not that big a deal. He'd make the fight.
There you go, yeah. And what do you think happened afterwards? In private, between him and Shakur Stevenson?
Later on that night, when they were in bed, Stevenson had his little doo-doo twisty in his finger. He was curling it on his finger, and he's like,
how when you say earlier, baby. We never got a fight.
Why'd you say that? Why you be saying that?
Why you be saying that?
Yeah, he's intimidating him, you know what I mean? Like he's trying to intimidate him. And Keyshawn's like, you want to go in the room again? And Keyshawn's like, no, please, not the room. Like, who knows what goes on? I don't know. Bray says, on the other hand, Stevenson said Loma beat Haney. So was he going against his people? Well, apparently Stevenson said Loma beat Haney, and then I think he changed his mind afterwards. I think that's what happened. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting the timelines wrong.
No, I've seen them do that. I've seen these guys do that. Like Dirk, I've seen him jump on here on this panel and argue with everybody on the panel about how Haiti won and everyone here is delusional and we know it, you know it, I know it, blah blah blah. And then I just happen to be perusing, just looking through different live streams. You know what I mean? I find one of these LDVC type of channels. I'm like, all right, what are these fools talking about? I click on it, and then I hear this fool telling all these dudes on there, y'all happen to be black guys. Come on, you know Loma whooped his ass. Stop it. Fuck Haney. You know, like the exact opposite, bro. The exact opposite of what he was saying over here. So it's like,
well, he's
guys, they flip flop at the right time, at the right moment. They'll flip flop.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, he's been in this community for a while now, and I think sometimes too he does it because he just wants to have something to argue about as well. But that's an interesting find, right? That's an interesting find right there, Solvers. That's an interesting find for sure. For sure. With that being said, I do have to go. Got a lot of things to do here. Got a lot of things to work on. A lot of documents to fill. A lot of business papers that I gotta look through. Of course, I'm totally lying here, but listen, I do have to go. That part is true. And I want to give a big shout out to Sobers for joining us, and a lot of the rest of you guys out there for joining us too on this morning show. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. We covered a lot. Did I forget anything? Hold on, let me just double check, man. No, we talked about that. Yeah, people. Okay, now I think we covered pretty much everything that we had to cover. And yes, so stay tuned, guys out there. Don't forget. I think it's on the zone. No, where is it? I gotta double check. I hope that the Patty fight versus the Karen, I hope that's on the zone. Because if it's not, we're gonna have to find a way to watch it. But yeah, so we got that. We got tomorrow. We got 2 boxing events. One.
Ways.
Excuse me.
We have ways of watching the fight. You don't have to worry about that.
No, I'm not worried. I mean, sometimes I am worried. Every once in a while, so a fight will be hard to find. But usually nowadays, 2026, the year 2026, yeah, you can usually find most fights. Yeah, I don't see it on the zone. I don't see it. So anyway, yeah, we got tomorrow. We got David Allen versus Hrgovic, and then we got Keyshawn Davis taking on Albright in a rematch. The return of Brian Norman Jr. as well. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully, they're good fights. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the show and everybody had a good morning and have a good rest of your morning. Shout out to Al Cuerpo. Shout out to Skull Kid, Official Scorecard Boxing, Recognize the Matrix, Blunt Effect, Earl Stevens. Shout out to Earl. Earl was in the chat. Shout out to Earl. Official Scorecard Boxing, aka Steph K, Skull Kid, excuse me, Pugilism, Langsbury, Bray, Team Batman Boxing was here earlier as well. Vader D, Alejandro Marquez, Debater of Everything, Hard Recoil, Warp Speed. If I forgot anybody, it's because we gotta go.